Vancouver farmers market today at a new location. It actually took us a minute to find a spot to kind of set up. But yeah, we're here in Vancouver. We're going to ask some people about their values, see if they actually live in alignment with them, just kind of help them out morally, zip up their moral zipper, if you will. So I'm Vegan Center Lady. You can find me everywhere. Please follow Anti-Animal Use. We're also on all social medias. And I'm going to pass the mic around to introduce our fellow activists and, so you can get to know us.
I'm Elvin. I go as Elvegan on Instagram, but I do work with Total Liberation now with Genderless Enigma here. We're just looking to have some conversations, open-minded ones today, hopefully. We're right across the way from a stand that says beef, pork, lamb, and eggs. So we'll see how maybe that'll come up during some of our conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm Enigma and looking forward to having some open conversations today. It's a new location and excited to see some new faces and have some good conversations.
I'm grassfed_human on TikTok and Instagram. I'm ready to talk to people about veganism.
Hi, I'm Rebecca in the Uncaged Front, and I'm on Instagram at the Uncaged Front and my blog at uncagedfront.org, and I'm really happy to be here today and represent for the victims. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can see it.
I'm Nick. That's my actual name. In case anybody was curious.
You didn't know, that's Nick. All right, so with that, let's see who's in here real quick. We got another damn vegan. We got
Hello, vegans.
We got Youngblood. We got Roland. Hey, y'all. Thank you, Elvin Vegan, for posting in there too. Oh, I didn't mean to bump you. I know. I know, Tiger Woman, I was late again. It's because we were in a spot, but we weren't sure if it was the best spot, so we had to relocate, and it took a second to reset up. So, good to see y'all, though. Hey, Vegan Heretic. Hey, what's up? All right. Pandora, hey, what's up? I didn't see you peek in there. Appalachie, awesome. So with that, we're going to try to get a conversation started. It's going to take a second just to get the first person. Whoops, people are coming in slowly, but they're coming in, and it's going to get busy. The sun is out. The blue sky is out. I was going to say shining, but the sky doesn't shine. It's good to see y'all. It's actually oddly kind of chilly. I was expecting it to be warmer, but I'm imagining it will warm up as time goes on. Yas. So, how's everyone doing? Make sure you're liking, sharing. I want to say that, again, we're in Vancouver, Washington at the Vancouver Farmers Market. And there's people starting to come in. It's starting to get a little packed. And we're gonna try to snag one, see if they live in alignment with their own values. A lot of people that go to farmers markets are already thinking outside of themselves. So I get the feeling that we'll grab someone real quick. But until then, I'm going to quickly go over what veganism is and why it's important to be logically consistent when it comes to morals and ethics. So veganism is an ethical stance against the exploitation of our fellow sentient beings. So I don't want to demand someone else be enslaved for me because I don't want to be enslaved for somebody else. And the reason why it's important to be logically consistent when it comes to respect in that manner is that if you say that it's okay to use arbitrary traits or some arbitrary reason to deem someone lesser, and that you deeming them lesser makes it okay for you to exploit them, then we want to know if you're consistent in that. Because if you think that race is a good reason or gender is a good reason, there's a problem. You need to have a justification. If you think species is a good reason to violate someone, I want to know why you think that. So that's what we're trying to say is there's this consistency in logic. If you say that it's okay because this person has this trait, I can now use them, then any trait that you have that someone deems lesser, they can use against you. So that's why the logical consistency is important. And that's why we're out here, because we're out here saying that if we're saying it's okay to use animals, it's okay to use any of us then. And that's not all right, because I don't want to be used. So with that in mind, go ahead and make sure you're liking, tapping on the screen, engaging in general. Hey, Vegan Anthem, good to see you. How much steak do I need to eat so you guys don't make a difference? Honestly, just eating one is too much because it's somebody. So I got distracted. Somebody walked up. Yeah, street convos. So if you're talking about abortion, that is actually a medical procedure between the person who's pregnant and their doctor. You know, does someone who's receiving that medical procedure absolve you of your wrongdoing just because someone else is doing something that you think is wrong? So you can't I'm sorry, I'm eavesdropping. They're asking about what we do while we're here because we're just a rando. Hey, what's up, Daniel? Okay, well, so what I'm saying is it doesn't matter if someone wants to use me. Morals is about how we think we should interact with each other. And I'm just saying that, hold on, I think they're telling us to move. It's not about if you want to use me. It's about should people be allowed to use each other just because they think someone is lesser, right? Make sure you're tapping, liking, sharing. Yeah. Well, what'd they say?
Well, we have an area that they said we can.
To make sure that nobody's blocking foot traffic and everyone's in authorized spots.
Okay.
Right over here, and I can show you where it is. And then when people are coming through in that area, you're welcome to talk to anybody.
Okay. So why can't we stand here?
Yeah, where's the lines of the private property?
Within the sidewalks is the private property area. Technically, like to the edges of the sidewalks, is considered like the farmers market zone during the Saturday and Sunday.
We're not on the sidewalks. We're not on the sidewalks.
Within the area of the street as well.
So the whole street, even though it's a public street, is right now the property of the farmers market? I just want to make sure I understand.
I'm not fully educated on this.
Okay.
So I don't want to be like
Yeah.
vocabulary.
It's just a pain to move. So if this is our public space, then we're going to exercise our First Amendment right. I don't want to offend. I'm not trying to fight. I just don't want to necessarily move unless I absolutely have to.
So if you know that for a fact, you can confirm it with somebody else.
Yeah.
You'd be happy to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can grab a market manager for you.
Okay.
Who's better educated on this.
Oh, okay. That would work. Yeah, I just genuinely, it's just such a pain to move. So if you could confirm, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll send Avery over for you.
Okay. Okay, perfect. I appreciate that.
I like your gauges.
Thank you, little cows. They're aliens abducting cows to save them. Yeah. Yeah.
Take a couple minutes.
Okay.
I'll be here until I have Avery come and check on it.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Yeah. Awesome. We may have to move, but
I know. Free speech sounds crazy, but
yeah, I thought we could have free speech anywhere. But did you guys see the zone at all that she was pointing
it's
at?
just where we were.
Right, kinda
Oh.
where we were.
Just where we were sitting.
That's funny.
Before.
Is there anybody walking through there though? I didn't think so. Okay, yeah, I don't really want to move
I
unless
don't wanna move there either,
unless we
because-
have to.
Well, it's like this is like we're actually at the market.
Yeah, I don't understand how they can have the sidewalks too. Like
She said
I'd be
that
even
they
willing
can't have any buskers. I'm like, we're not asking
busters.
Like we're not buskers. Like I don't know, people
Buskers.
who like play music.
Oh,
I guess like that's what I would call busking. Playing
Yeah.
music, playing an instrument, like turning.
yeah, we're not doing any of that.
money or something.
We're
like,
just having
I'm like-
conversations.
I was like, it's purely educational.
yeah, we're
blah,
just
blah, blah, blah.
having conversations.
I was like, we just talked to
We're
public
literally
opinion.
selling nothing, giving away nothing.
Yeah,
We're just
so-
talking to people completely. I guess we give away a card.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Freedom of speech. I mean, we're not here to be loud or disruptive either. We're not here to pick fights. We genuinely are here to just have honest conversations with our fellow citizens. These are our neighbors, you know, and I think that it's our right to be able to talk to our neighbors. And if they volunteer to come talk to us, we don't harass them. We just say, hey, you know, you want to have a conversation. So I just want to make sure that we do have our rights respected, but also we're talking to people that need to be informed, the people that we care about the most, our neighbors. Why'd that go dark? Oops. Oop. Okay. Oh. Ooh. Is this it? Yeah, there we go. I'll turn this down so you can't hear it. Awesome. And I'm going to turn this so people don't look at it. Oops. Oh my gosh. I got stuff flopping around. I don't know if we're going to have a conversation or not. Looks like somebody walked up, but need to be informed. Thank you, Ben, by the way. I saw your compliment. Thank you. Yeah, civil. Well, again, it's not even arguments. I want to have just conversations. Do you want to be interviewed? Yes. Awesome. Oh, yes. Thank you. All right. So we're going to stand in that little red box. And oh, I kind of turned it a little, I guess. My bad. I think it's because we were taking pictures. Cool. All right. Here you go. Yes, me too. Me too. Me too.
My hairbrush is in the car.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've loaned you mine, but you know, it's got my hair in it. Yeah. Well, you look great. What brings you out here to the market today?
My friend Ashley, I thought he was going to be here at their tie-dye booth, but there's an empty space.
Oh no.
Where
I hope she's okay.
Oh yeah, she's okay.
Oh,
I know where she lives.
Good, yeah, I'm gonna make sure to get my tie-dye.
Yeah, get your tie-dye down here from Ashley.
Hell yeah.
And this is I got this from Lincoln City.
Oh wow, that's a nice one.
The Love Works hippie store on 101. Go there every time.
Awesome.
And I love Lincoln City. I'm gonna retire there.
It is a really great place.
Yes.
I love that area.
Yeah.
What was your name? I didn't catch it.
Rick. My name's Rick.
I'm Anna. Lovely to meet you, Rick. Sorry, yeah. Well, no, I appreciate that.
I have a strawberry down here, so.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of tasty stuff around here.
Yes. The best strawberries are at the end here.
Yeah,
really.
down over there.
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of jump into it. What do you think about the powerful versus the powerless? Do you think that those that have some advantage should have the right to do what they want to those that don't have that advantage?
No, I think it should be equal all across the board. I said I don't want to talk politics. I don't want to go there.
Political.
Yeah, but you know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I understand.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So this is the part that
I hate that part.
Some people kind of disagree, and I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Right.
So, what do you think about like when it comes to the animals that we use for like food, clothing, entertainment? Would you agree that we're
totally
oppressing them?
unacceptable? Yeah. I mean, I do eat steak and stuff.
Yeah,
but that's not wasting food. I mean, you know, I hate wasting food, and so you know, that's just gonna rot if people don't eat it. But it's not. That's not going to change. But skinning, you know, wild animals and you know, endangered species, I want to really shoot them all.
I didn't hear the last one.
I really want to shoot these people that are doing that.
They go after the endangered. Yeah. Why do you think that's bad? I mean, I agree with you, but I just want to hear your thoughts.
Because it's wrong. I mean, we should all enjoy these animals, and we should let them live their lives.
Exactly, they want to live.
You know,
right?
they want to live their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a bunch of cats, and yeah, it's that season.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. And they should be free, not trapped or killed or no harm.
Yeah, your cats, they care about like what happens to them, right?
Yes, my cats have souls. They all have a soul. Animals all have a soul.
Are they
feel.
Would you say that they're the same individual, or would you say they're unique individuals?
Well, they're unique in their own way. Yes.
Yeah, they have their own like personality.
They have, all my cats. I have a wild one and I have one that's chill, and they all have their personalities.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. What's their names?
Scooter's the master cat that I've had forever. He's the boy, and he's a black tabby. His mom was all black. Got hit by a car, but he's big because his dad was a big old barn cat, and so he's big, but he's so sweet. I mean, he's the sweetest cat.
Big lap kitty.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Would anything ever be a justification for someone to use, what was their name again? The cat's name? His name?
Scooter.
Scooter. Yeah. Would there ever be a justification for someone to use Scooter?
If anybody hurt my cat, they get hurt.
Yeah,
themselves.
I agree. That's a proper reaction.
I have children.
Yeah.
Yeah, and grandchildren. I'm older. But yeah, they're just like.
So we care about them. Do you think Scooter wants to live?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks over the kittens. I have kittens. We haven't named them. I don't want to name them. Unfortunately, you know, I have too many cats. But I want them to go to good homes. Ashley wants the calico little baby that I have.
Babies,
yeah. So yeah, they all have their own soul and they feel.
Yeah. And they don't deserve to be mistreated or exploited, right?
Not at all. No.
Yeah,
no.
I agree.
Yeah,
so I guess I'm so sorry.
No, because it's a it's an issue for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so
You know,
sorry.
I watch all these, shows, Channel 10 and stuff. What's going on in these other countries, they just don't care. I mean, how can you not care?
I agree. Like when you see an
Not
atrocity, if you had some way to help or some way to do something,
Yeah.
and it's, to such a degree, how can you not help, right? How can
Yeah.
you not be a part of the solution, right?
Right.
So when we think about the animals, right?
Yeah.
So we're taking someone, we're asking them to be born into a system that just uses them,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do you think that could ever be fair? Like, would we ever tolerate that?
No. Dogs are, bred to be, fighting dogs and stuff.
Yeah.
Pit bulls, they got a bad rap because of the owners, not because they're the sweetest dogs, but if they're bred for fighting, they're no longer.
Exactly. Just because someone's bred for a purpose doesn't mean that you should use them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's one example.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like you do actually have these principles that we shouldn't exploit others when we don't need to, right?
Right.
So what's stopping you from living your life in alignment with that by not using other animals, like, for example, going vegan? I don't know if you've heard that term before.
Oh, I know vegan.
What's it mean to you?
It means, well, it's healthy, but in a way, I don't think it's really all healthy
Okay.
because I think these animals were put on this planet for us.
What makes you say that?
Because I like to eat steak. I'm a meat eater.
What if someone likes to dogfight,
Yeah.
right?
All
Like
right.
our pleasures don't
I
justify
know.
it.
I've talked to vegans, and I get that, and I am sympathetic with that point of view. But again, I don't like anything. I don't like to waste food.
No, so if you're worried about waste,
I just don't want that
if you're worried about waste, being vegan actually prevents waste. So animal products and non-animal products, they actually go bad at the same rate, but it takes 10 times the resources to create animal products. So if you're worried about the environment, being plant-based is actually better. But veganism is an ethical stance against the exploitation. So let's say you're right. Let's say that it is better for the environment to use animals. Would you say then that it would be moral to use someone, even though we can get our resources from something else? Would you say that it's okay to?
Yeah, we can get our proteins from same way. It's not the same, but
So if we can avoid
but
using
I know,
someone, shouldn't we?
I eat a lot of nuts and berries and that sort of thing. And walnuts.
But what's stopping you from leaving the animal products alone?
Nothing really.
Yeah, exactly. Can I give you a resource card?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let me.
Oh, yeah. So you're vegan.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do agree with it.
Would you be
to
willing
a certain
to
point.
watch a short documentary on your own time?
Yes.
All right. So on this side right here, you can either go to that website or you can scan that code.
Yeah.
And I just urge everyone to watch that documentary because it just shows you what you're demanding. It's not a this is the worst case scenario. This is what is inherent in these industries.
Yeah.
And it's just important that we know what we're demanding, right? Like when you buy tie-dye shirts from your friend, you know what you're supporting, you know who you're supporting, right?
Right.
When it comes to using animals, even the kind products, the farms that treat their animals like family, they're still exploiting them, right? Because they still are being used.
They're making money off it.
Yeah. Well, and they're
But
making someone
if
be
they're-
born
they don't
to
like caged
to be
animals.
used, even if they're not caged, right?
Okay.
Even if you see a herd of dairy cows out on a field, there's still inherent practices that you need to do. Yeah, same. I want to go cuddle. They're actually called grass puppies.
Grass puppies.
They'll play with balls. They'll
Yeah.
chase
Oh
them.
yeah. Like cats.
Yeah. But for a
And
dairy
I
cow
like
to produce
little
milk, she must be pregnant.
Yeah.
Do you think the farmer waits for her to get pregnant, or do you think he takes matters into his own hands?
Oh well. They breed.
Yeah, they set up the
breed them to
situation.
Set up the situation.
So once she gives birth after a 9 months pregnancy, she has her baby separated from her. And dairy cows are like one of the most maternal. Exactly. Yeah. So you understand what I'm saying.
I do, and I want to pet the baby cows and all the. And
There's actually local
I
sanctuaries
have-
around here. You
have
can
done
do that.
Yeah, and I want to. I want to start an animal shelter. And do that. in
Do you
my
think-
retirement.
Do you think there'd be a contradiction though if you were to save animals and be the reason that?
still-
Yeah.
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 That's a good point. I mean, I have thought about that.
Well, just hold on to
But-
that thought. Think
but
about
yeah,
that. And then
yeah.
when you watch that documentary, ask yourself, like, do I want to be consistent with my own principles? 'Cause that's really what it comes down to. You do have the principles. I can hear it.
Yeah.
You do care.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that we're in a society that's normalized exploitation. So it's almost invisible to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are not enough animal shelters. And
I
they're-
agree.
They're homeless animals.
Right? They need help. They
And
need our help.
They need our
agree.
help. And I want to do that.
That's so
I
sweet
looked
of you.
into it. And
We need more
it's
people
a
like
lot-
you.
It's a lot. Permits and a lot of stuff that needs to
I
be
know,
done.
it's a lot of work.
The venue and
Just getting revenue so you can
yeah,
take
the
care
revenue.
of them.
Yeah, for sure, the revenue and the licensing to have volunteers because it'd be nonprofit.
Yeah.
sure.
That's
It'd be-
beautiful. That's the
be
way it should be
nonprofit.
too, right? Because you're
Yeah.
there for them.
Because
You're
the
not there to
county- I
make
hate-
money.
Yeah, that's no kill shelter. The county, no, that's a kill shelter.
Yeah. I mean,
What-
I don't know much about the shelter over here.
Humane Society, that's what I call them, because they're still killing animals.
We need to save them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need people like you to speak up for them.
Yeah.
You sound like such a strong spirit. Well, I appreciate you talking to me. Remind me your name one more time.
My name's Rick, and I was gonna.
I'll give you a
I
hug.
gotta-
I'll give you a hug.
I don't-
I appreciate
Yeah.
you, Rick.
I'm a hugger.
You're a great
I'm
person.
hugger and love.
Well,
I
you can
love.
you can find us on that card if you feel like you need someone to talk to. There's also on this front side.
Are you on?
Yeah. So if you go to our website, it'll say when we're live, so you can find us. We're also on all social medias as Anti-Animal Use, and you can reach out and find each one of us. So, yeah. And then this is a great place to start. So this is that documentary that's on the back, and then this is a great place just to look up how to eat. It's called the Vegan Dailey Dozen, and I actually made it easy. It's right there. That's the Vegan Dailey Dozen.
Yeah, I was reading that.
Yeah.
I actually eat all these things.
Yeah, so you're getting
I
everything.
do.
So these are little
Yeah.
check boxes to how many servings a day you need of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you go online, you can find out what that means, like a tablespoon or a cup, or what is that of each one. But it's really simple, really basic. 3 servings of beans, 3 of fruit. You got your 5 different servings of vegetables,
Exactly.
cruciferous, green, and others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuts and seeds.
Nuts and
yeah. I
seeds.
mean, I eat that.
I mean, we already eat a lot of vegan stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I eat all this.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
that.
just about leaving the
Okay.
animal stuff off of out of our lifestyles.
Play.
Yeah, well, in our clothing, our entertainment, like
Right.
like when you go to a zoo or a circus, do you go to those at all?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but
How do you think of when out of the context of our
No,
conversation?
no,
what do you
no.
think now
That-
about
I
them?
think that animals are mistreated. I mean, why are they in a circus?
Yeah, like
Why
is it
aren't they left alone?
Yeah.
and to
Why
be
are they
free?
there?
Why they're not free?
exactly?
Yeah, they're not
Yeah, you
free.
hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, I
not
appreciate you. You're amazing, Scott. Right?
Rick.
Rick. Oh, why did I call you Scott? I was thinking Scooter of your cat.
Scooter.
I'm so sorry.
Well, you mixed them.
I
That's
did. I
good.
kind of did. Rick, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I really
I know.
appreciated this
I
conversation,
forget
though.
names as soon as I hear them.
It's a human
it's
thing
a
to do.
thing.
It's because it's like
Yeah.
I'm like, we're face to face. The
Yeah.
names, what's a name? But
Yeah.
yeah. All right, well, Rick, I'm Anna.
Anna.
It was lovely talking to you. And like I said, you can
My
rewatch
neighbor's
this.
Anna.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You
she's
do remember?
She's a good friend.
It's okay if you
Mine.
don't remember though.
Anna. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not. It
I'm more
doesn't
of a
have
face person.
lesbian,
I'll see you and
but
like,
whatever.
hey.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about that either.
Yeah.
That's another issue of mine. People need to be able to be free to live their lives.
Yeah.
No matter how they're.
As long as they're not
labeling
harming
themselves, or whatever gender they choose or life chooses for 'em.
I think you should
Yeah,
live the life
too.
that makes you happy, but as
Yeah.
long as you're not harming or exploiting
as long
others.
as you're not hurting anyone.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to demand
Yeah, you
someone's
don't wanna-
exploitation
Yeah.
or their
And,
harm. Yeah.
I hate Trump. Okay,
Yeah,
can
don't
I
we
say
all?
that live?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, you're in good company.
He's not getting it.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, Rick. I'm
Heinous
gonna
hate.
go talk to more people about animal rights. But I
Yeah.
really appreciate. I'm gonna shake your hand one more time.
All right.
And like I said, you can
No,
find
no,
it.
no,
Oh,
no.
all right.
We're here now.
We're here now. We're here, Rick. All
right.
right. Well, you
All
have a
right.
good rest of your
Thank
day.
you.
Enjoy the market.
So glad.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Actually, I think this was kismet. This was to be. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Good. Well, you have a good day. Good vegan life now, right? Right on. Yes, please do. I'll grab your signs from you.
All right. I think it was a good conversation. I think it was a good conversation.
Hey, Daniel.
Oh, is he in the chat?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
We have to kind of go back.
We have not talked to the chat, so put a 1 in the chat if you are vegan and a 2 if you aren't. I want to see how many vegans and non-vegans we have.
Hey, Jason.
Got a few 1s. We got some 2s.
Vegan Heretic. Lambretta, Pandoria.
Oh, someone says 2 but want 1. Okay. Well, I mean, go ahead and put in the chat. What's stopping you from becoming vegan? We're curious. We can talk about it.
Yeah. Instead of just kind of throwing out things like eat more meat and I love whatever, give us something constructive so we can talk about it. Yeah, why aren't you vegan yet? Tell us, why aren't you vegan?
Someone said, can you survive without meat? And absolutely. You can completely survive without meat, and this is even recognized by plenty of large nutrition organizations, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the American Dietetics Association, the British Dietetics Association, all agree that a well-planned plant-based diet is healthy at all stages of life. So yes, and tons of vegans online who've been vegan for like, I don't know, 10 plus years probably, so.
Yeah. I think there's like a current person who's trying to be like Mr. Olympia or one of those like bodybuilding competition things, and they're vegan, you know, so there's a lot of vegan athletes, you know, if that's what you want to do. So
Yes, and look at them. They look pretty good to me. Plenty of vegan bodybuilders look pretty big, even bigger than a lot of meat eaters. So
why be vegan? Well, ultimately be vegan for the animals, because we're just bringing all these animals into the world. It's an eternal hell for them. They have no choice. Can you imagine being just born into a hell like that they experience? Maybe you don't know about everything that they go through, and that's why you say things like that. So you could watch Dominion 2018 on YouTube. You could watch Dairy is Scary. What else? There's, I think, some other videos.
Very Scary, Dominion.
Lucent?
I
think it's called Lucent. There's another
maybe.
video.
I mean, there's tons of documentaries. There's The Land of Hope and Glory. That focuses more specifically on the UK. But there's also Earthlings. I think that one's mainly focusing on America. But I mean, it's all the same everywhere. So I mean, like, there's Earthlings. You could even watch like Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy. That goes over, I guess, more like environmental impacts and like ethics, but still, tons of documentaries you can check out. And you can even check out, we got, you can go to our website and we got some stuff you can watch there and some resources you can check out. You can scan the QR code. That'll go to our website. And also Dominion too, if you want to scan that.
Yep. Go to antianimaluse.org, watch the 3-minute video, and there's some simple answers to simple questions on there about the typical things that people wonder about veganism. So
yeah, if you aren't vegan, go ahead and put why you are, and we'll talk about it so we can get maybe a conversation going here in the chat before we get someone to
My name is Michael. I'm vegan. I've been doing it for 9 years.
Do you want to join?
Yes.
Awesome. Are you an
Oh, we have somebody here who wants to join us today.
Yeah, we got a vegan trying to join us. So.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I'm not, because I was 4 years and ruined my health. Okay, well, it sounds like maybe you were experiencing some nutritional deficiencies maybe, and did you ever speak to a doctor about it, plant-based dietitian? What kind of diet were you eating? Were you doing like a raw plant-based diet? You know, were you supplementing things that maybe you needed to supplement, or eating fortified foods? It's potentially a lot that could have gone wrong. And so, I mean, you know, instead of giving up right away, I mean, did you try and talk to, you know, a professional? Or
Yeah. Sometimes, you know, I mean, I don't know why you tried to be vegan. Ultimately, and I'm not trying to say that you weren't, but if you aren't vegan for the animals, then that can make an easier out because it's just a diet for you. So ultimately, when you're vegan for the animals, you try your best and you make it work somehow. So because would you compromise your, I don't know, would you say if cannibalism was normalized and you felt that you weren't healthy when you gave that up, would you go back to eating humans?
right, and it seems like you said no, never raw, took all the supplements. Okay, well, I mean, if that's really truly the case, did you talk to a plant-based dietitian? Did you try and figure it out? Because I mean, if you were truly doing it for the animals, I'd assume you'd want to take every avenue to avoid using them as much as you could. So I mean, did you take that route? Did you talk to someone? And like, even let's say you're the rare minority maybe that can't be 100% plant-based in terms of diet, do you still avoid other things? Do you not buy leather? Do you, you know, not buy products that are tested on animals? Like, you know, being vegan isn't just a diet, you know, it's a whole ethical stance, a philosophy. So even if you truly, you know, I guess couldn't be plant-based for whatever reason, then you can take every other avenue to be vegan. So
We're not shaming people.
yeah, no, we're not shaming anyone. I mean, we haven't shamed anybody here. No.
And if you feel that we're shaming you, maybe you have something within yourself and you're feeling defensive. That could be like your cognitive dissonance kicking in, just kind of feeling like, oh, I'm feeling shame. Well, why are you feeling shame? Maybe there's a part of you that knows that you shouldn't be using animals.
Just shame that person. No, I never shamed anybody. I never said.
No.
It seems like maybe you're projecting a little bit, or you're maybe not liking the message we're saying. So
We're just having a discussion,
Okay,
and
that's
we're
just the
here
bad guy.
ultimately to stick up for the victims. So you have to keep that in mind. We're not out here to make you feel good about yourself if you're using animals. We're not going to be jerks either, but we're going to tell you the truth.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, to the non-vegans, or yeah, give us your reason. I mean, just so we can kind of get I feel like we're not really getting a conversation going. Go ahead and just put why you aren't vegan, and we'll talk about it. And also, thank you to all the vegans in the chat as well. But yeah, we're out here at the Vancouver's Farmers Market. We're talking to people about oppression and whether they believe animals deserve just the basic, you know, decency or basic right to just not be exploited and killed unnecessarily for reasons that, you know, are unnecessary. And we don't have any reason to exploit them anymore. In 2026, we have, I mean, I know people are going to say, oh, what about people in this situation? If you aren't in that situation, you know, a lot of people like to hide behind people that find themselves in situations where they're doing things out of necessity or survival. If you aren't in that situation, what excuse do you have when you have access to places like a farmer's market or a grocery store, or just, access, not even just diet wise, but like access to cosmetics that don't test on animals, or you don't have to go to zoos or circuses. Well, I mean, worst comes to worst, we'll move. I don't want to.
We're not doing anything illegal.
No, we're not doing anything illegal,
Yeah.
but anyways, yeah. If you have access to alternatives, why use animals? What excuse do you have?
What country is this? This is the United States. We're in Vancouver, Washington. And we're asking you your reasons. So if you're somewhere near a grocery store, you can move your hand, can choose something other than animal. So, and it's actually cheaper to be vegan. It's kind of a big myth right now that veganism is expensive, and it's actually cheaper to be vegan because the cheapest foods are like beans, rice, different grains, legumes, things that are in season, things that are at your market. So everybody was bitching about the price of eggs and everything, and it's like, well,
Don't buy eggs.
Yeah.
Someone said animals eat animals. We are animals, eat meat. So do you base your behavior off of everything other animals do in the wild? Like, do you think that's a good enough reason to continue doing something? Because I mean, we could look to nature or like what other wild animals do. They kill one another. They grape each other. They, sometimes eat their children. So, I mean, should we really look to that as to justify our behavior? I mean, like, we already recognize that killing each other is wrong, raping each other is wrong. So obviously we don't want to model our behavior off of what they do. So how is this any different?
Yeah. The violence that is normalized against animals in our world is appalling, and it should be a big red flag that we have a serious issue with dehumanizing and not paying attention to other beings' lives. It's a sign of psychopathy when people kill animals, and the workers that actually work in slaughterhouses, or even if you kill animals repeatedly, you actually get a form of PTSD. It's called predator PTSD. And if you don't get therapy about that and intervention, you will continue killing, and you could really hurt someone, not just a non-human animal, but it'd be easier for you to hurt a human animal without feeling anything for that. So they become very numb. A lot of times they turn into alcoholics, they turn to drugs. So it's a horrible industry all around. So.
Yeah. Someone said the human body is sustained by protein, which you can press it, which is sustained easiest to get from animals. And yeah, I mean, we need protein in our diets, obviously, and you can get plenty from plants. There's so many plant-based protein sources, beans, tofu, tempeh, seitan, chickpeas, lentils. Pretty much every plant-based food has protein. Sure, I mean, there's more than others, obviously, but protein's basically in everything, and you don't need to get it from animal flesh.
Yeah. And I'd like to say, like, even if you could get, right, like, say eating other humans gave you like the most protein, it gave you just one bite of a human gave you the perfect amount of protein per day. Like, you still wouldn't do that because they're sentient beings. Like, you don't want to cause them suffering, even though suffering is out of the question, right? Just doing it is the injustice there. Are your shoes vegan? How about your belt and clothing? Show me you're vegan by showing me your wallet. Let's see what material they're made out of. I actually threw away my wallet about 6 months ago because I found out it was leather. It was not fake. So I threw that hoe out, and I've been rocking no wallet ever since, just carrying my cards.
Yeah,
actually.
I had a leather belt. I got rid of it.
Yeah, vegans, they don't wear
any animal.
Yeah, any animal products because they're all built off of exploitation, right? For people to do leather, anything, somebody has to be skinned, right?
Right. And listen, what you're trying to do here, it sounds like you're trying to appeal to hypocrisy. You're trying to find hypocrisy in one of us to justify continuing to do the behavior we're speaking out against, right? So just even like in a hypothetical scenario, we were wearing something that was non-vegan or we were being hypocrites, that still doesn't justify you continuing to do this to animals.
Exactly.
Just because someone else is a hypocrite. I mean, you could say that about anything. Like, you could, I don't know, somebody could be telling me to stop punching people in the face, and then I could, I don't know, find some reason, oh, well, you don't do this, that's ethical, so I'm going to continue doing, like,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be good justification for me to continue to punch people in the face. So
Yeah. If you think we're not good vegans or we're, false vegans, then why don't you just be vegan and be a better vegan? You should be doing veganism without any hypocrisy. And instead of, just ignoring the hypocrisy of everything that you're doing right now. Which is maybe saying that you love animals and that you care about them, and that you even believe that humans are animals, so we should be stewards and take care of others, right? But also eating them or aiding in their exploitation along the way, or not seeing them as individuals even.
Nature.
Oh, okay.
This. No.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know what's happening, but what's going on?
Oh, there was just somebody I think we had to talk to from the place here.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. We'll do this again. Put a 1 in the chat if you are a vegan and a 2 if you aren't. And then if you're a 2, go ahead and place the reason why you aren't vegan. We'll talk about it before we get someone. Hopefully someone will come up soon and maybe we can have a chat. But I see a lot of people putting a bunch of vegan steak and vegan burgers and just a bunch of vegan food emojis in the chat. Yeah, it's making me, hungry. I love vegan food. Vegan burgers, vegan steak, vegan turkey legs are good, all plant-based. No animal had to be exploited.
Not read this.
Two, because I'm a grown man. So do you think is your entire sense of masculinity based on dominating and oppressing someone else? Is that where you really derive your sense of masculinity from? You are judging people. Listen, if you feel judged, I mean, we haven't literally judged anyone, but if you feel judged, maybe that's something you should look. I was going to say, maybe you should look inward and, Oh my God. There we go.
This is Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah, we're in Vancouver, Washington at the farmer's market. Hoping to get someone maybe, because this chat is a lot of trolls in here, so.
Yeah.
Animals eat meat, it's part of life. Okay, you guys do understand that there's a lot of things that wild animals do that we don't do. They grape each other, they commit infanticide. I don't think we should. I mean, just ask yourself this. Do you 100% believe we should be modeling what we do after wild animals' behaviors? I mean, we already do a lot of things removed from nature, removed from the wild. I mean, just look where we are. Like, we're at a farmer's market where there's buildings, we're live streaming on a phone. You guys are commenting on your phones. Like, none of this is natural or anything else wild animals do, so.
Also, a lot of animals are herbivores, so why can't we be?
Someone said, this dude seems too logical to be vegan. Well, I mean, it is logical to be vegan. What part is unlogical? What part about, if you have the option not wanting to exploit and cause an animal unnecessary suffering, what part of that is illogical? I'm curious. Also, a lot of people put omnivores. I think you guys need to look up the definition of an omnivore. It's not required that we consume both meat and plants. It means we can consume both. So, I mean, if we can just consume plants and not force an animal into a slaughterhouse, then why not choose that? Um,
207 people watching. 230.
Someone said, "How wrong am I for eating steak or eggs or anything?" Well, I mean, if you don't, obviously, I mean, I'm not gonna none of us are here saying that like people who eat meat or like eggs and dairy are bad people, because I mean, I did it for 22 years. Everybody here did it before they went vegan, so you're not necessarily a bad person. But I mean, if you can understand why you shouldn't do these things, and you know, if you knowing that we have other options in 2026, and you know, if you do your research and realize, okay, I don't need these things to be healthy, then I mean, yeah, I would say it's wrong to continue to pay for animals to be exploited and abused and ultimately unnecessarily killed. But being ignorant, being like blissfully ignorant, isn't necessarily make you a bad person. I mean, you know, that's the way we grow up. We're brainwashed into thinking, you know, these things are normal and it's okay to do these things to animals, and you know, don't really think about it. So. The debate always resolves about whether you get all your nutrients and nothing more. Some studies say says the other said what? Say this other say. I don't know what you mean. Are you saying like there's studies that say that you can't be vegan? Yeah, I'm sure there are studies that say that, but I mean the overwhelming majority of evidence leans towards that, you know, a plant-based diet is healthy. Even like I stated this earlier, but the largest nutrition organization on the planet, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, agrees that a plant-based diet is healthy at all stages of life. The American Dietetics Association, the British Dietetics Association, if all these major, you know, nutritional organizations are agreeing that you can be healthy, then I think that's pretty good evidence leaning in, you know, a plant-based diet's favor. I mean, these are what these people do for a living. I don't think they just sit around with their, or you know, and just. Did you want to?
Oh, okay.
Respond to one?
They just said I don't know how dairy's bad.
How is dairy bad? Okay, well, on the surface, it may not seem like that, like, oh, an animal doesn't have to die, right? But think about it this way. So there is, you know, a cow. In order to produce a milk, she has to be pregnant, right? She's a mammal like us. And how do mammals produce milk? They have to be pregnant. So she's artificially inseminated, also graped, and then is pregnant for 9 months. Just like us, carries her baby for 9 months, and then as soon as her baby is born, typically within 24 hours, her baby will be taken away from her. If the baby's male, typically it'll be raised for veal, or sometimes it can be raised for beef. Typically, but you know, we'll say typically raised for veal, and sometimes they're just killed straight away. But anyways, if the baby's female, she'll repeat the same cycle as the mother. But you know, the dairy cow will have to go through this cycle for about 5 to 7 years until their milk production declines, and their bodies obviously give out and are, you know, strained and stressed due to the repeated impregnation and also the psychological and mental distress being pregnant and then having their baby taken away from them over and over and over. And then as soon as, you know, their milk production declines, they'll be sent to the slaughterhouse, killed, and most likely made into a McDonald's cheeseburger or something, because I believe about half of global beef production is from the dairy industry. I could be wrong on that, but I believe it's globally about that. I think in the US it's like 20 to 25%, and then globally it might be 50%, but you know. So there's this quote I like to say: if the reality of the, or how does it go? If the reality of the dairy industry reflected the color, I forgot how it goes, but anyways, or if milk reflected the color of the industry, it would be stained red with all the blood of the animals exploited and killed for dairy products. So I think that's a really good quote, that it may on the surface not seem like there's any harm being done, but there is. Same with eggs. Chickens have been selectively bred to produce up to almost or about 300 eggs a year, putting immense strain on their bodies, right? So
Ride might get a little
and as
bumpy.
soon as
We're
they're,
gonna move a little bit.
oh, we got to move? Okay.
Go ahead and move the camera first, and then we can move everything else.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So grab it. Yeah, go ahead and grab the pole, and then put it.
We are moving.
Where Cooper is.
Like, right here?
Turn it this way. Turn it this way so that it's on you, and then you guys talk, and we'll put it back this way when Cooper's done with it.
Can we stand here? This is fine.
Yeah, as long as you stand on the sidewalk.
Oh, we can't stand in the street?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, we had to move a little bit. But yeah, dairy products, egg products, animals are so exploited and killed ultimately, especially once their production for these products declines, they're sent to the slaughterhouse, just like, a beef cow or a broiler chicken. What soap do you use? I just use any soap that's cruelty-free and vegan. You can find plenty at the store, at any supermarket, drugstore. Just make sure, you can see online, you can confirm. There's a lot of companies that you can use, like Cruelty-Free Kitty, the Leaping Bunny. They usually verify whether a brand is cruelty-free or not, so you can do that. You can see, and a lot of times they have like a symbol on them that'll tell you whether or not they're cruelty-free. So it's like a little bunny. Leaping Bunny has one. Typically, if they're on a product, they'll be cruelty-free. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah,
I've been talking to the chat.
I'll take over. No worries. All right, hello everybody. I don't know if we've done a 1, 2, 3 lately, but if you are vegan, put a 1. If you're not vegan, put a 2. And if you are curious about veganism, maybe don't understand, throw a 3. Oh, I'm already seeing 3s, although I think y'all throwing 3s before I even finish. Super funny. We are at the Vancouver's Farmers Market, talking to people about veganism and oppression and animals and ableism and race, like all these things. They typically come together. So someone says meat is necessary for a balanced diet. That's a lie. Misconception, common one, actually. Boy, do you drive a car. Sometimes I do. Let's see, 6-7, that's all right too. We'll throw 6-7 in there. You can spam 6-7 for the chat. Oppression, yeah, we talk about oppression. So what's your reason for not being vegan if you're in here? I see someone says, in your ideal world, are all the cows released into the wild? No. You don't have to release them all into the wild. I mean, maybe, like, if that's what it looks like. But typically what I like to think a vegan world looks like, or when farms stop exploiting cows for their meat and, reproductive systems, it's going to be turning those farms into sanctuaries where they can live out the rest of their lives, and we just allocate the funds necessary towards those farms, or now sanctuaries, to take care of those animals because we care about them. Someone said, Jerry curl on point. This is not a Jerry curl. That would cause ecological disaster. How are you sure about that? That's a really big claim to make. So unless you can substantiate that with some actual evidence, then I think you should, maybe focus on the perspective of the animals, right? The victims. Someone says, how do you feel about animal exploitation? I think Daniel says that, yeah. How do y'all feel about it? I know how I feel about it. I'm against it. 100%. There's no need. Someone says that's why you source your food from ethical farms to eat meat. So actually, cruelty is not in the question here at all. So the issue with using animals is the fact that we're using them. It doesn't matter how we use them, right? Whether we're riding them or whether we're eating them. The use of that animal is the issue. They're sentient beings who deserve their own interests to be put at the same level as yours, because they care about their life. They care about their feelings, right? So it's the animal use inherently that is wrong. Someone says, I can give you all the evidence you want. You won't believe it. That's not true. I do lots of research, so I typically love seeing evidence. Yeah, thank you, Daniel. You can care about human rights and animal rights. Why deny either? Someone says, I only eat wild predatory fish. I justify it knowing I'm saving hundreds of other defenseless fish lives. See, but this is like if you were to like say, oh, I only murder young men who grape or sexually exploit women, right? I'm saving those women. I'm saving those defenseless women from those young men by only murdering those young men. But does it really make sense to cause harm or harm somebody or take away somebody else's rights in the effort to save the rights of others? Who gets to make that choice? Someone says, what about Satan Yahoo? And like, don't get me wrong, I'm totally for like, repercussions for people who are sexually exploitative or exploitative of anybody. Someone says, why you black? Because I am. Someone says, agriculture also causes animal deaths. Crop farming kills insects, rodents, blah, blah, blah. This is actually a crop death argument that's super common. It's people saying that since we eat plants, and to farm those plants, killing is necessary because, you have to till the field. They're saying that we can't be vegan and eat plants because, comment distracted me, because, we have to kill to get plants. But veganism is not against killing, right? Veganism is against the exploitation of sentient beings. So that's not exactly, it's not following there. Get this guy a burger. No. I ate 2 burgers last night that were made out of beans, and they tasted just like burgers from before I was vegan. I wasn't always vegan. I went vegan about a year ago, year and a half. Actually, don't even know. Some time ago. And I didn't always know. Why are you talking about RAPE? You're talking about being a vegan. What's the same of being a vegan? And no, I brought up that because what that is a direct way to take away somebody's autonomy, right? So when people are taking others' autonomy away and not acknowledging their individualism and their experience, or not putting that at the same level as their experience, I tend to think about veganism. I tend to think about animals. I tend to think about, hierarchy and speciesism, because it's all of those things that allow us to discriminate and harm others. It says, so you're not against killing, but you just can't eat it? You would rather waste those? No, you're not following. So vegans are not against killing, meaning I don't know. It's hard to explain. You should do some research on like the actual, origins of veganism. I'm pretty sure y'all think it's a diet, and it's just really not a plant-based diet. But if you look up like the actual, ethical stance that is veganism, it'll come a lot clearer to you. You can't just listen to everything I say or judge what all of vegans' opinions off of what I'm saying, right? Like, you got to go do your own research. That's all we're asking people to do. Someone says, so what about eating invasive species of animal? The whole idea of like species being invasive is already coming into, oh my gosh, hello, that is me. Sorry, somebody's recognizing me. It is EJ. I also go by EJ. What was I answering though? Because it was important. Invasive species. The whole idea of like invasive species or invasiveness, right? It's already centered on humans. So we're always like, is it invasive? Who invasive to who? Because when we talk about species, we're already putting them in arbitrary categories that don't matter, right? Someone says,
Want to turn the camera so that it's in the market?
totally.
Awesome. Might move it
We're
back.
moving all around here. Oh, heck yeah. Let's see here. We are still here at the Vancouver's Farmers Market.
Where this turns to, if it's not straight.
Oh, super. Looks good.
And then you also have this.
There's lint in your fro? Sometimes there is.
It's a little flower.
Let's see.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They get stuck sometimes.
It doesn't want to come out.
Thank you. Someone says, it's not centered on humans though. Even cats have a negative impact on outdoor species of native birds. Oh, see, I guess like that's what I mean is humans have always had a factor, like have had impact in that, right? Like why are there so many cats? Why are there so many of any of these animals that are then invasive or overpopulated, right? Humans have caused a whole lot of that. And for us to act maybe ignorant a little bit to the, to being like, they're invasive. We kind of turn our brains off a little bit and say like, somebody's going to say all those cats are invasive. We should just kill all those cats. We can't do that because and some of us will agree that we can't do that because we understand that humans caused there to be so many cats. And cats care about their personal experience. Cats literally are sentient beings who feel, think, and, figure everything out, for themselves and have their own preferences. So, just labeling somebody invasive already is just so loaded because invasive to where, the earth is supposed to be shared for all of us, right? Nobody knows who put us here. Nobody knows where we're going. Life is the most precious thing we have. It's all we have, so by taking that away or calling some people, invasive or saying that some people aren't allowed to travel across some imaginary borderline, right? It all has to tie in. If it has eyes or parents, do not eat. I kind of like that. Might have to find a way I don't agree with that just to make sure it's good. Someone says, why can't vegans just mind their own business? Well, here's the thing. You're not just dealing with yourself, right? If you were going through life just eating, whatever and not affecting anybody, it wouldn't matter. But what you're doing or what people are doing typically, they have this thing in their brain that's not seeing animals as people, right? They're seeing animals as resources or products or objects that can make them money. Farmers maybe want more cows because there are more of them. Them having more of them will give them more money and more milk, and they can sell more, right? So once you're seeing these animals as a product or an object, you see them as a benefit for you. You literally are going to go throughout your life trying to extract the resources or extract the value out of anybody you see. Even when you see a dog, it ends up becoming, oh, that dog is so cute, I want to pet them. But did you take a second to think maybe that dog doesn't want to be pet? Maybe that dog is scared of humans because of other humans, So when we start to see animals as individuals, we actually start to take into account their feelings and their personal experience, right? And when you do that, you can't be eating them, especially when it's unnecessary, because you realize that there's no actual benefit to them. You're taking everything away from them to the benefit of yourself.
Hi, everybody. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Here, I'll pass it off to you so I
right.
can take a break.
Okay. I'm Enigma. We're here at the Vancouver Farmers Market in Washington State, for anybody curious. We're here to ask the question, is it more acceptable, or is it more in alignment with justice to relate to animals as resources to exploit or as individuals to respect? What do you think? Somebody said invasive to the ecosystem. You have no idea what you're saying, and this is harming your intended message. So I'm not sure what your point is, but I will say that even humans could be considered by many invasive to all of the ecosystems across the world. We've caused the next extinction event, arguably, with climate change. So if that's the case, if humans are perhaps the most invasive species on Earth, would that justify violating the rights of individual humans? If not, why does violating the rights of individual deer or other animals who you think have overpopulated become justified? What would the difference between myself and a deer be that means they can be killed for the ecosystem and balance, but I cannot. I cannot be killed. Let's hear it. Somebody says the trolls. Yes. I want to ask everybody who's here to double tap that screen, share the live if you can. We're not necessarily here to argue, but we are here to engage a discussion about animal ethics. We're asking, is it ethical to exploit animals for food, clothing, entertainment, testing, any reason? In 2026, when we have another option, what justifies this exploitation? Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Somebody says we are apex predators. So by this, you are getting at the fact that humans have the ability and strength to oppress and kill animals. But I want to ask you, does might make right? Does having the ability to kill animals and having the strength to abuse them and objectify them, does that make it okay? Does it make it acceptable just because you can? Hi, Lewis. It's great to have the vegans here. Thank you to the vegans in the chat as well as the mods. It's important to keep this place somewhat clean and free of bigotry. Somebody says it's our nature to eat animals. So by this, you're saying that it's something that happens in nature. But I want to ask you, do you think that we can mimic something that happens in nature just because it's natural? Because, for instance, many big cats they may rape each other, they may eat their babies, but within human affairs, we don't support killing each other, raping each other, because we recognize that that is immoral and unjust, and it violates somebody's body. So just because it happens in nature doesn't necessarily mean it's ethical. Does that make sense? So it could be natural, for instance, that we eat animals, but is it ethical when we have another choice? When it's completely needless, is it justified? Let's hear it. A lot of people here in the chat, over 200 people. If you find you don't have your comment addressed, please just leave another message in the chat. I want to say hello to Daniel Broccoli. Great to have you here. Somebody says, I hate that argument. Well, dispute it. Provide a counter argument. Somebody says, you would make more sense if you weren't mumbling all the time. I'll try to enunciate a little more clearly. Somebody says, you need to eat more meat. Why? Why would I do that? Why would I kill animals and use them for my pleasure? What would justify that? Somebody says, so gay, can't even stand straight. So when I've asked for a critical discussion about animal ethics and you've made a comment like that, it just shows that you're weak and you don't have any arguments to provide. And I also am not standing straight up like this because I have to lean down in order to read your messages. There's some shorter members in my group, so the tripod isn't set up too high.
No, I don't need help. It was just umbrella.
Somebody says, is it any of your business what other people eat? So I'm not asking about what people eat. We're questioning who people are exploiting. We're asking, is it acceptable to exploit animals for their flesh, their secretions, for testing, entertainment, or clothing? Is it acceptable to exploit animals in any of these realms when we have another option? When it's needless, what would justify that violence? Somebody says ethics is subjective. Do you also use the argument to subjective morality to not respect human rights and to disrespect human liberation movements? If not, why do you bring up subjectivity only when it comes to animal ethics and the rights of our beyond human kin? Somebody says lab-grown human meat, question mark, question mark, question mark. Why would we do that? Why would we need that? Somebody says because your body needs it and wants it. Look how skinny you are. So there's no evidence for this. My weight's been stable the past 5 years, and my doctor tells me to keep eating what I'm eating. Somebody says cows are delicious. I want to ask, does the pleasure you gain from consuming a piece of a cow, does it matter more than the entire life and suffering of a cow? Somebody says sustenance. So when we live in 2026 and have a variety of other options, we're not using animals for sustenance. We're using them for other reasons. And I want to ask, do those reasons justify the exploitation and violence? Somebody says plant-based bodybuilder here. Absolutely. For those who are interested in getting 200 plus grams, 300 plus grams of protein in a day, they can, eating plants only. And if that's the case, if you can be an athlete or a bodybuilder, why? What would stop you from ending your contribution to the exploitation of other animals? Somebody says, leave the fish in their homes, go vegan. This is an excellent point. The fish belong in the water. They don't belong in the air where they're suffocating and having their life stolen from them. Somebody says, we Animals give us nutrition we need as omnivores. So omnivore actually means that we have the ability to consume animals and plants and have our health thrive, but we could also just consume plants and have our health thrive as well. So just because we can be violent towards animals and exploit them for their bodies, does that mean that we should? The rain.
Yeah, Anne's going to get some umbrellas. We're getting rained on.
We're here in Vancouver, Washington, for anybody curious. The weather's turning on us a little bit, but we have contingencies. We have umbrellas coming. Somebody says you're exploiting plants, so who would you prefer to use and kill? A puppy or a piece of broccoli? Who is going to suffer if you, for instance, kicked one of them or stepped on one of them? I'm going to ask everybody here to leave your justification for exploiting other animals in 2026 when we have another option. Let's strike up a conversation. Everybody keep double tapping that screen. Share the live if you can. Somebody says you're exploiting plants. I've addressed this one before. Don't spam it. There's a difference between using plants who are not sentient and don't have a preference to live and using animals who are sentient and have a preference to live and have personalities. I think everybody knows there's a difference between putting a stalk of celery in a gas chamber and putting a live pig. Only one of these entities will gasp for breath and scream in horror. Somebody says, what if the cow never experienced suffering? Would you accept this standard for a dog or a cat? If they didn't suffer, if they lived a really happy life, is it okay to steal their life from them, to kill them? What do you think?
What about yourself? Would you allow someone to do that to someone that you loved or that you cared for, or even just another human being that was innocent?
Just because they didn't suffer, would it be okay to harm a human? Somebody says, what would you do with the animals? So we would stop breeding them into existence for our benefit. And if there are any animals that remain in existence once humans have decided to stop using them for their flesh and their secretions, we can move those remaining animals to sanctuaries where they can live out the rest of their life, free from exploitation.
And it's amazing what happens to animals once they're out of that commodified environment. They become themselves, their personalities come out. You get to see who they really are as an individual, and it's beautiful. So you get to see them have joy, have relationships with other animals and people, and it's a beautiful thing. So if you've never seen any of those videos, you ought to look at some because it might change your mind about the way that you view them.
Somebody says completely ignoring biology, our teeth and our digestive tract. So here you're pointing to organs that humans have or features that they have that allow them to chew and process the flesh of animals. But I want to ask you, does might make right? Just because we can chew up animal flesh and secretions, does that mean that we should when we have another option and when that violence and exploitation is needless? What do you think? Chat's moving quick. There's almost 200 people here. If you find your question, your point not addressed, just paste it again. We're in Vancouver, Washington, for anybody who's joined more recently and is curious.
Oh, you already addressed that.
Yeah. Somebody's talking about the deer again, the overpopulating deer. So just to provide a conclusion to that question, the problem of deer overpopulating is caused by humans in the first place. Humans killed off all of their natural predators, all of the animals who would regulate that population somewhat, when they killed off all of the animals to protect cows and pigs and birds that they wanted to farm. So this is a mess that humans have created, and we have a responsibility to clean it up in a compassionate manner. Hi, Daniel Broccoli. Somebody says meat tastes better. So if you got more pleasure from consuming the flesh of an animal versus a plant-based burger, for instance, would the additional pleasure you gained be a justification for killing? What do you think?
Yeah, and everything is pretty much seasoned by plants anyways, so you're putting plant seasonings on meat. So you can do the same thing to other non-meat items like tofu and seitan and tempeh. You season everything with plants, and that's why they taste good.
Somebody said, honestly, Impossible Whoppers are pretty good. Yeah, so what scientists have shown in certain settings is that there have been blind taste tests in certain vegan mock meat products like chicken nuggets and beef. They are tasting so similar to their animal counterparts that from a blind taste test, even non-vegans weren't able to tell the difference. So if you're concerned about taste pleasure, you don't really have to give up much. But let's say you did. Let's say you got half as much pleasure within your eating habits if you ate plants only. Would getting an additional amount of pleasure justify exploiting and killing animals? What do you think?
Yeah. I personally, I don't like the idea of thinking about like if something tastes like chicken, like the Morningstar products are really good, the chicken products. So, I'll have those. But, sometimes as a vegan who, I do it for the animals, it kind of like grosses me out if I think too much about it.
Yeah.
But it's a really good product. The Morningstar, the nuggets or the chicken patties are vegan. But you always have to look at the back of the package of Morningstar to make sure it's got the V on it.
Yeah.
They also have like sausage patties too that are really good.
I wanted to jump. If we're talking about alternative nuggets, I also have the Impossible chicken nuggets a lot. I'm always getting those. I think they're really good. So
To try those.
yeah. They have
Somebody's
like different flavors too. They got like regular. They got like spicy. They also have it's fun shapes sometimes. So if you're like dinosaurs, which I think is fun.
for the kids.
Me too.
For the kids and Nick, the dinosaur-shaped nuggets, plant-based, of course. Somebody says you're a liar. What do you think we've lied about? Leave another message in the chat. Another person says price. Do you think it's more expensive to eat plants only versus an omnivore diet? Because if so, I need to direct you to Oxford University. They conducted a study that showed we can save up to 30% on our grocery bills here in the United States if we focus on foods like potatoes and beans and grains and lentils and pastas and nuts and seeds and fruit veg. If we purchase those types of items, we save on our grocery bill compared to an omnivore diet. For anybody who's joined more recently and is curious, we're here in Vancouver, Washington. Double tap that screen, everybody. Keep double tapping that screen. Share the live if you can. I'm going to have the vegans put a 1 in the chat. Vegans put a 1 or green hearts. You can also spam some green hearts in the chat too. Non-vegans who are open-minded put a 2 in the chat. And trolls put a 3. I want to get a sense of everybody who's here in the room with us. All right, I'm seeing some 1s, some 2s. I want to ask the 2s, the folks who are open-minded, what is your justification for exploiting and killing animals in 2026 for food, clothing, entertainment, testing? When you have another option, what justifies that violence and exploitation? Let's hear it. Would it be more in alignment with justice to relate to animals as resources to exploit or as individuals to respect? Let's hear your thoughts.
I don't know.
Somebody says, how do you know that the plants don't have feelings? So we just don't have any evidence for it. From what we know as humans, we know that feelings and sentience comes from, this is what science tells us right now, that it comes from having a brain and a central nervous system. And plants don't have either of these faculties. So we don't think that plants are sentient. But I want to underscore the fact that even if plants were sentient, let's say they feel just like animals do, an omnivore food system leads to more plants being killed than a plant-only food system. That may sound counterintuitive or paradoxical, but you have to remember that all of the animals that humans are using, it's almost 80 to 100 billion land animals every year worldwide, they have to be fed plants repeatedly across time in order to reach so-called slaughter weight. So if you want to minimize the amount of plants being used and killed in the world, the first step is to transition to that plant-only food system. If you look at a study by Joseph Poore, it's called, quote, Reducing Food's Environmental Impact Through Producers and Consumers, unquote. It shows that we could actually reduce our entire global agricultural land footprint by 75% if the world transitioned to a plant-only diet. So I hope that addresses some of those points. Somebody says rice and beans, perfect match nutritional-wise, cheap. Absolutely. And it doesn't get cheaper than rice and beans, especially if you buy them dry and you cook them at home.
Someone said, how do you know that plants don't have any feelings? Plants don't have, a brain or a central nervous system, so they don't have any capacity to produce, these feelings or emotions because where do you think our capacity to feel and experience the world stems from up here? So
like if I didn't have a brain, I wouldn't be feeling anything. Does that make sense? Like if it was not in my head, there wouldn't be an organ to experience reality. And
right,
plants don't have that brain either.
There wouldn't be any. It'd just be. I can't even imagine what that's like. It's because it's not just darkness. There's just nothing. There's nothing going on up there.
Somebody says, really, you need to research that, buddy. So provide your evidence. What's the title of your study if you think that we're not characterizing the science? Let's hear it. What's your study?
Yeah, I don't know the exact.
Did you want like gloves or anything?
No,
Hello.
This is Elvin, by the way. They're here for the 80th event, but they thought they'd stop by.
Oh, great to see y'all. We have some more folks joining our event today. It's a big event here at the Vancouver Farmers Market today. A lot of folks.
Some positivity we got. Usually better than we got at the Portland State Farmers Market. So.
Somebody says, so I've been talking to my plants for nothing. If it makes you feel good, I encourage you to talk to your house plants. But if you're under the illusion that talking to your house plants makes them grow faster or better in any way, I don't know. I don't think you have any evidence for this claim. Whenever scientists have repeatedly tested whether plants respond to music or nice words, they have not been able to repeatedly show that. They do. They haven't been able to. Somebody says I talk shit to my houseplants, and they probably still grow great, right? They don't care. They don't have a brain to process the words that you're speaking. As long as you give them what they do care about, light, food, nutrients, sunlight. Somebody says I think they did. Well, you're actually operating on a mischaracterization of that study, so go look it up. Revisit the science.
Any mods in there? There's someone talking about something. I think you'll know what I'm talking about.
Somebody says, is this Code Pink Communist live? No, we're here. We're in Vancouver, Washington. This is anti-animal use. We're here to bring up an ethical question. We're asking, is it more justified to relate to animals as resources to exploit or as individuals to respect? What are your thoughts? Is it justified to exploit animals for their flesh or their secretions or entertainment, clothing, or testing? When we have another option, what justifies that violence? Let's hear it. Somebody says Jesus Christ ate meat. Let's say he did. What would be the relevance of that to whether you and I should participate in that system of exploitation and violence today? There are religious vegans and non-religious vegans. So for religious folks, just like non-religious folks, it's a choice of whether we want to contribute to this exploitation. And if it's a choice, why would you contribute?
I'm gonna it a little bit. It's okay.
Do you wanna? I'll stand in the rain if you want. I don't wanna.
I was worried about Cooper not being.
I'm ready to pass off to
Okay.
Nick and
Do you want me to?
All right. Yeah, sure.
give the umbrella holder. I'm like, we're just passing it.
All right, I'm back. Plant feel pain. Please provide the study for that. 'Cause as far as the research shows, they don't have a brain, central nervous system, the organs to produce, pain receptors or feel. So if I were to, there's a bush over there. If I were to go rip a leaf off, the plant does not give any cares. Yeah. Keep my language PG, but they don't care. How many supplements do vegans need to take? The only supplement technically you don't have to take a supplement if you're really against it. You can just eat fortified foods. B12 typically is the one vegans are recommended, or plant-based, people who eat a plant-based diet are typically recommended to take. But again, it's just a tiny little tablet you take in the morning, at night, or whenever throughout the day. And is that really worse, having to do that, than having an animal, have to be exploited, abused, and ultimately unnecessarily killed? Is that worth it to you? I mean, just so you can get B12 from, another source. And typically the animals you eat, their bodies, meat, is typically supplemented with B12 anyway. The farmer typically will supplement them with something. So it's like you're just indirectly taking the supplement anyway. So you either just take it directly or indirectly and filtering it through someone else's body. So we don't need animals' meat. That's not true. We can be perfectly healthy eating just plants. This is recognized. I've stated this a few times, but this is recognized by the largest nutrition association, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, other nutrition associations, the American Dietetic Association, the British Dietetics Association, all agree you can be healthy consuming a plant-based diet. So if that's the case, why do this to animals? Seems like a no-brainer, but... Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you're vegan and a 2 if you're not vegan. We'll see how many non-vegans we got. And if you are non-vegan, a 2. Go ahead and put the reason why.
So talk to people where they live in areas where nothing can grow. Why would we do that? We're here to talk about change that's possible. Everybody who attends this farmer's market has options, and they can access a plant-only diet if they want to. You know, provided they are not a houseless person or they're making some sort of food choices at the grocery store, they can opt out of contributing to animals being used and killed. And we're asking, if we have that option, what justifies continuing to contribute?
I saw someone say we have canine teeth, and well, first off, the largest, or the animal with the largest canine teeth, I believe I could be wrong, the hippo?
Sounds right.
Yeah. Gorillas have canine teeth. They have huge canine teeth. They're both herbivorous animals. So just because we have canine teeth doesn't inherently mean we're designed or should eat meat. Maybe we can digest meat, sure, but should we? And our canine teeth aren't necessarily designed specifically for meat. I mean, biting into things like fruit, for example, nuts, and our jaws move in a grinding motion to break down plant matter. Carnivores, omnivores, typically, jaws just go up and down. They don't move side to side. But, that's honestly irrelevant. Whether we can do something doesn't mean we should.
Somebody says hippos have flat teeth. Yeah, just like us humans. We have very blunt teeth. And let's say they were super sharp and they allowed us to rip flesh up. Would being able to do it justify it? I could also form a fist right here, but should I punch somebody just because I can? No. We shouldn't violate people just because we can. We shouldn't violate animals' bodies and exploit them for their bodies when we have another choice.
Someone said, where do you get your from then? I mean, just ask yourself so if you have power to dominate and oppress someone else, do you think you should do that? Like, do you think that's fair? Do you think that gives you the right to do it simply because you have the power over them? Now, assuming you're saying no, that's wrong. Why do it to innocent, vulnerable animals who have no power, and are completely at our mercy? If we're such a compassionate and caring species, right, that we claim to be, we should act like it. We shouldn't oppress and dominate innocent, vulnerable beings. When we don't need to, we have no reason to. So,
Someone said, so these guys believe in God? What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, our religious beliefs or non-religious beliefs don't have anything to do with exploiting and unnecessarily, killing and abusing animals.
Someone says, y'all understand in order to... Oh my gosh, is that crop deaths again? So crop deaths are not exploitation. Nobody's actually trying to go out of their way to kill those animals by tilling that field, right? We're actually trying to reduce harm. So, and then even then, veganism isn't about reducing harm. It's just about not exploiting sentient beings for your benefit or any others.
Okay.
I want to respond to this. Someone said, why not focus on human beings being exploited, better use time? I see this a lot. People are for some reason offended and upset by the idea of people speaking up for animals. Listen, the animals literally have no one, first off. So, I mean, if we don't do it, who else is going to do it? And you're not going to go to, let's say, another, gay rights parade or a race, something like let's say people speaking out other injustices and say, why don't you focus on this? We're out here speaking for the animals who have no voice and have no one speaking up for them. And, if those issues are important to you, great, go speak up for them. But, we're going to speak up for the animals, and, there shouldn't be any issue with that. And if you're really worried about human exploitation, you should be vegan, as there's so much human exploitation involved in the animal agriculture industry. Typically, these slaughterhouses are put in places in lower income communities. They target minorities, typically immigrants. A lot of immigrants work in these slaughterhouses, which cause, high rates of PTSD. They have higher rates of drug, alcohol abuse. So they're targeted specifically, put in these lower income communities. And typically when workers speak out about maybe the working conditions, or maybe they see certain things in these, they're threatened with deportation a lot of the times. So the animal agriculture is not only extremely exploitative to animals, it's so exploitative to humans. So if you're really against that, then you should be vegan either way, because not only are you standing against animal exploitation, you're simultaneously standing against human exploitation.
Yeah, and the whole idea that the ideas of racism, ableism, sexism, they all actually do tie into speciesism and veganism. So it's kind of silly to think about, calling us, racist or, classist or, basically just inaccessible, or calling veganism inaccessible, right? Because what really is the case is that it's just a mental, ethical stance against the non-exploitation or against the exploitation of sentient beings, right? So
It's accessible to everybody.
it's accessible to everybody. And what you'll see is if you look at back in history, as colonialism grew, so did animal use, and so did racism, and so did sexism, and so did ableism, right? So all of these things are being built on each other at the same time. All the oppressions are interconnected, and you're gonna have to dismantle them all at the same time, which includes returning animals back to either relative status or at least individuals and recognizing them as the individuals they are.
I keep seeing this person talking about if God says it's okay, I can do one. I'll do one.
The camera at
Are we allowed to be on the street though?
Yeah, we're gonna go. If they don't like it, then they'll practice. You can follow them.
Okay.
And then you're gonna stand right in front of them. Yeah.
All right. So,
Just don't fall.
okay. First off, nice to meet you. What's your name?
My name's Austin.
Austin, nice to meet you. I'm Nick. How's it going? Not much. We're just out here kind of talking about, does anybody have, they don't have a sign, but anyways, we're kind of talking about oppression, essentially. Like, do you think just because someone is maybe stronger than someone else or smarter, do you think that gives them the right to, oppress someone else?
I do not, no.
Right, and I agree. We all agree. I think anybody who doesn't agree is probably got something wrong in their head.
I don't think that, maybe that's not that wrong. I think it might be sometimes people they don't want to lose their power over people. So I think that could be that time somebody answer that.
Yeah, but we agree. It's wrong. Shouldn't happen. So how do you kind of feel about flipping the script a little bit? How do you feel about the animals, for instance, we send into slaughterhouses, used for in vivisection laboratories, for medical testing, as well as in circuses, zoos, or for clothing? How do you feel we're kind of oppressing them? We have power over them, and whether we should do these things or not, we're kind of just dominating and oppressing them.
Sure. I think you're right as well. I think for food, I would love to see things that are more sustainable. It's not that I'm try not to, but I do think I would love to try and stay away from animal harm and oppression in that sense as well.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of veganism by any chance?
Veganism, I have, yes.
Yeah. What do you if you were to kind of describe it to me, how would you?
My sister was vegan for I think almost 3 years, and so I kind of got to watch her experience. From her diet that she had, that wasn't really sustainable for me, to be honest. Just for me, something like protein intake, but also how I value and be satiated from food, just flavorfully. I would be interested. Yeah. I think that's my answer.
Yeah. So are you kind of? I'd say you kind of see it as a diet, or that's kind of how you describe it. It's kind of a dietary.
I see the diet. I would say I subscribe to the psychology as well, though. I do want to try and stay away from harming animals like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of how we define it is not necessarily a diet. It's just an ethical stance, essentially against human exploitation, right? Not human exploitation. Well, I mean exploitation in general, just of sentient beings. We can, I guess, can categorize humans into that, but typically it's focused on non-human animals, right? But just the exploitation of sentient beings. If we don't need to do these things, should we continue to exploit and harm them?
Yes.
And if you found out, for example, you could be healthy on a plant-based diet and get all the nutrients you needed, get all your protein, would you?
Yeah, absolutely. If it was accessible and it was affordable and it was especially convenient, I think is the right word, I would be vegan today.
If we were to show you resources and I gave you resources, would you be willing to look in and in terms of the convenience and
I'd love to, honestly,
yeah?
Yes.
Cool.
The biggest thing for me is I want to try and get my protein intake especially for gym and also just like my own protein goals and stuff. That's the hardest thing for me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's tons of protein sources obviously within plants, but there are, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, there are some vegan bodybuilders that there's Brian Turner, I think is one you can look up, big guy, huge, completely vegan, obviously he goes to the gym. There's Patrick Babumian, believe he's a power lifter. I don't know a bunch off the top of my head, to be honest, but I mean, they're out there. Obviously, there's tons of vegan bodybuilders, and they'd all say the same thing, right? You can get tons of protein. There's also Danny Ishay on Instagram and TikTok. I don't know if he's on TikTok. I think he might just be on Instagram, but he doesn't make necessarily exclusively bodybuilding content, but like he's a buff guy. He works out. So yeah, I have a resource card. This is our website, so that's where you'll find our resources.
Yes.
Nutritionfacts.org. There's also 10 weeks of vegan. I don't know if I think it's on the website. There's also a thing called Challenge 22 where you can actually speak to a plant-based dietitian. They can actually help with all your concerns and like set kind of like a plan for you in terms of like inconvenience, costs. You can like tell them all about that. And there's also a documentary called Dominion. It's just a documentary that kind of goes over everything that happens to animals, whether that's in the food industry, the clothing industry, laboratories. So I just like encourage people to watch that just to see what's happening, and like if people do continue to purchase these products, I think it's just important to be an informed consumer.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I encourage you watch that. There's also on our website there is a 3-minute version of that, because the full documentary, I think it's like 2 hours. It is a bit of a hard watch. There's a lot of footage in there. So you can at least get through the 3-minute version and just see kind of, is this something I want to pay for? And yeah, and you said it was Austin, what's your name?
It's Austin.
Austin?
Yes.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by and being open-minded.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a good day.
You too.
All right. Let's see here. What are his shoes made of? Who? Anybody who is doing outreach on here, their shoes are going to be made of something plant-based. Stop eating meat. Start eating vegans today. Okay, dude. You obviously have no logical justification for exploiting sentient beings. So, someone says, "What happened to your dad?" He's probably watching this. Someone says, "You're actually making my point for me. It is a privileged lifestyle. You just replace the word with practicable. Until you have an abundance to the point that you can limit what you eat." So this is actually not true. People call being vegan or veganism privileged, right? But what is so privileged about seeing animals as individuals? That's something that is so accessible that anybody can do that, right? Now, nobody's saying that people who are, living in situations of necessity, right, where they need to maybe subsist off of the land, and they're trying to survive in wild conditions. Nobody's saying that those people should die or should stop subsisting off the land that they live on. They're saying what we're saying as vegans is that they should take into account the individual life of each animal, which a lot of indigenous cultures would do. So the practical impossible part comes from, what you don't know, you can't stop, right? So say I don't know that male chickens are killed day one. I don't know male chickens are killed day one. I don't know that, or I don't understand the idea that captivity is wrong. So I'm totally okay with people having, caged chickens that birth or that give out eggs and then buy those. Right up until the point that you find, like, as long as you don't know, you're probably not, that would be like as far as you're practicing or as far as possible for you. But as soon as you know that exploitation is there, you're going to have to stop, because now what is possible and practicable for you is different. It's changed. The whole thing about like social justice in general is that it's evolving and it's moving and it's ever growing, right? So you also have to be doing so as a social justice person, growing, moving, evolving.
Yeah. Somebody says you need to be rich to be vegan. Do any of us look rich? And I just want to underline
It is
the Oxford University study that shows plant-only diets are up to 30% more affordable in places like the United States if we focus on a whole foods plant-based diet. That's foods like potatoes, lentils, grains, fruit, veg, nuts, seeds, tofu, tempeh. If we can actually save money consuming plants, then certainly affordability is no obstacle. Like, we can boycott animals being exploited and used for us and have an affordable diet at the grocery store.
Yeah, all of the things on a plant-based diet is probably the cheapest. It's literally just plants. There's no yeah. Oh, I'm okay. Yeah, it's okay. Let's see. Some says sometimes vegans don't agree with bee farming because of the practices, but natural pollination is not exploitation. So the reason vegans don't, buy honey or don't support the exploitation of bees, right? It's because the queens their wings are clipped so that they can't fly away, so they're basically held captive. And then what honey actually is it's food for the bee. They are supposed to spend their whole lifetime creating one little honeycomb or one little teaspoon of honey, and it's putting your interest over theirs to say that you deserve that instead because you want something sweet. You could totally use agave. You can use other things like dates to sweeten your food, or sugar if you really don't care about sugar. It's really not that hard. Someone says, I did an experiment and found that I can meet all my nutritional needs on a vegan diet for less than $7 a day. Damn, heretic. Okay. See, there's just no way to claim that a plant-based diet is super expensive. Dates are Polynesian. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. I am Polynesian too, so. Although I like the word, Pacific Islander a lot more. Someone says, my brother has been vegan for 20 plus years. He's a lot healthier than I am, not gonna lie. Well, shoot. The fact that your brother's been vegan for 20 years, it makes me want to ask you, what's your definition of veganism? Do you see veganism as just a plant-based diet? Or do you see veganism as the ethical stance that you should be against the, exploitation of sentient beings? If you stop eating meat, you sound like this guy. I can change my voice if you want. Someone says endangered or extinct versus exploited. The whole thing is endangered and extinct is exploited. It's all exploitative. And it's all because of exploitation that these animals are endangered or extinct. And the only reason that we care about the population size of these animals is also speciesist in itself. Because if we're saying, oh, this guy is, or this species is endangered, and we need to work hard to bring them back, what methods do humans typically go to? They go to breeding them, which doesn't take into account the actual individual experience and the well-being of each animal, right? So when we're talking about conservation and we're weighing whether or not we should have to, call them endangered or extinct or what we're to do, what we should just be doing is valuing each animal's individual experience. Someone says, that's not true again. My wife is vegan for 20 years. I know this for an absolute fact. It is far more expensive to be vegan. What are you eating though? You keep saying it's expensive to be vegan, but veganism is the ethical stance against the exploitation of non-sentient of sentient beings, right? So that's not expensive at all. That's free. Okay? A plant-based diet can be all different types of expensive if you want it to be, but what we're telling you is that a whole foods plant-based diet is actually really cheap, and it's misconstrued throughout media and propaganda to make people think that meat-based foods or animal-based foods are super easy or super cheap, or they come naturally cheap, they're sustainable, they're ethical, they come from cage-free farms. It doesn't matter, right? Someone's saying, yeah, just go out and eat grass. Yeah, it just shows that you don't have any actual argument as to why animals are in the positions that they are today. Let me say, we are at the Vancouver Farmers Market still. We got about an hour left of our live today. We are talking to people on the street. We've had multiple conversations happening off camera. Just a little surprise there. And we are talking about veganism, oppression, animals. We're asking people, why are they so on the opposition to accepting the ethical mindset that animals deserve to exist for themselves. Someone says people need to eat what they can to survive, even if that's an occasional animal or eggs. I support trying to reduce animal cruelty, but we are never going to make the world vegan. See, that's like an appeal to futility. You hear how hopeless you sound when I repeat it back. So that's exactly what I'm trying to get away from. We don't need. Yes, people need to eat what they can to survive. However, what we're talking about is rewiring what people think are things and what to eat. Like animals and humans alike are not resources to be devoured or consumed or disposed of. We are sentient beings who care about our experiences and want to form connection with other sentient beings with our time on Earth, right? So in prioritizing that and not our own selfish interests, we would have to, acknowledge that we shouldn't be killing these animals. Yes, feminism for men. Thank you, Vegan Anthem. Love that. Dogs are delicious, period, someone says. I'm glad that you recognize that even dogs across the world are seen as seen as food, proving that animal species, like the ones that we eat and don't eat, is completely cultural and completely arbitrary, right? So somebody can say, I don't eat dogs because I think they're cute. It's the same justification somebody would say for I don't exploit this one woman at work because she's cute. But I'll treat all the other women terrible because they're not as cute, right? It's like arbitrary things, arbitrary reasons used to justify an oppression. These dudes turn people off from being vegan. Vegans turn people off from being vegan? Make that make sense.
Why don't you think for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
If everyone would stop following all the nonsense that is preached to you since you're born and think for yourself, then you would really learn a lot.
Yeah. Neither of us are saying take what we're saying and go vegan right now and just never listen to anybody else. What we're saying is there's obvious misconceptions that a lot of you guys have on what veganism is, how animals fit into the world, how liberation for all is going to come about, and we're encouraging you to do more research and think about that. And if you were having inconsistencies with your morality and your actions, to maybe change and look at how you can do that. Nobody is asking you to just follow us blindly. That is never the case.
But we are asking you to think about the victims, the animals that are just brought into the world and eternal hell for them without a choice. So how would you feel if you were brought into that position?
Mm-hmm.
Powerless and no hope and yeah.
Oh. What was it?
So I saw a post by Xgantics.
Oh. What did it say?
It was a while ago. Is it okay if I take it?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Michael. I'm visiting from the other Vancouver, from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And I saw a post by Xgantics a couple minutes ago, and he basically said he supports animal welfare, but veganism is not natural. So let me share my view of what is natural and not. I studied physics for several years. I have a degree in physics, and that is the study of nature. And literally everything that happens in the universe is natural. If you believe in God or the supernatural, that's fine. But if we were to go vegan, that wouldn't be an act that exists outside of nature. In fact, it would be an act within our nature because most people understand that animals deserve respect. So we're not trying to change anyone's nature. We're trying to introduce the ethical principle and the actions that follow it that would make you more who you naturally are. And if you think about all the things that humans do that are different from other animals, yes, other animals eat each other. Other animals do a lot of things that humans don't do, and humans do a lot of things that animals don't do. And many of those things we do, we are better off for doing those things. We do have a degree of empathy that maybe isn't really seen in most of the animal kingdom. You know, we do have instances of animals helping others of different species when there's no discernible advantage to them. But humans have the privilege to think about how our actions really affect others. And we're just saying we should expand our circle of compassion to include other animals. And yes, animals are capable of empathy, but even if they weren't, I mean,
It would be up to you to help them learn that, maybe, or
yeah.
figure
Okay.
that
So
out,
what
or
if
garnish that.
hypothetically an animal was a sociopath? Would
I
that mean they deserve to be exploited and killed like
no,
what we do?
It would not. I would, at least that's what I would say. I would definitely, we always look at the root of issues, right?
No, someone talking about Jews here. Go away,
idiots. But if somebody has issues in our community, right? Whether that leads to them causing violence or harming others, we look at the reasons why they ended up that way. Why are they so violent, and how can we mitigate that, right? So that's why I'm not for the carnivore culling theory that some people think lions should just be all murdered because they kill and they'll have to kill, so we should. I typically will say no. If we are so strong and benevolent and intelligent and capable, we should be able to find a way to help them out as well. That it does not include just ending them, which is a very imperial solution to that issue.
Yeah, you're right. Whoever said that, thank you to the trolls for helping us spread the channel and helping with views. Even you people can be helpful.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone's
it's okay
saying
to have a natural farm. Well, from the point of view of the animals that are used and killed on that farm, is that okay from their point of view? So we're trying to expand empathy. We're trying to get you to realize that those animals have preferences for what happens to them, and that doesn't involve being killed or otherwise used for your purposes, even on one of these idyllic small family farms that every non-vegan likes to fantasize about. Do you support abortion? So I'll share my personal views on that, and my friend here might not share those views. I personally think that abortion is wrong and should be avoided. Now, whether it should be legal, I'm personally not really sure about that. But remember, we're not advocating making meat and using animals illegal here. That might come later, but we're advocating that you make the choice to stop exploiting and killing animals. So, if you were to talk to someone about abortion, you might say, I disagree with your choice to have an abortion, and whether you do or you don't, that's your opinion on that issue, which is kind of separate from this one. But we are saying that the ethical choice is not to do this. Now, if you disagree with what I just said,
well, I typically just say I don't have a uterus, so I'm not, and I won't be pregnant, so I actually don't really honestly care what is going on with other people's bodies or what's happening inside of them. I trust them to make the best ethical decision for themselves and a person inside them if there is a person there, right? So I'm leaving it to them, and I don't typically, I'm not going to say they should do whatever because I'm not in their situation, and I think it would be operating with ignorance for me to say that I know I should say.
Oh wait, someone just said we're getting paid. Where do I collect my?
Oh yeah, sorry. Did you clock in?
Are you gonna pay me?
Did you clock in today? You forgot to clock in. You might have to fix your time punch. Yeah. Yeah, no, nobody gets paid here. We're here at the Vancouver's Farmers Market asking people about their ethical stance on exploitation of sentient beings, and whether or not they're willing to change. The world liberation will only come for all as soon as it comes for our animal relatives as well. Someone says he's definitely going to McDonald's after this. I've actually been boycotting McDonald's since before I was vegan, so that's funny. There's actually a lot of animal product places that I've been boycotting for a long time because I thought they were just gross. Before I was vegan, I had seen a video of Popeye's chicken with maggots in it in the center, and they're crawling around on the shit and everything. I stopped eating Popeye's then because I realized, I may not be so well known about everything that goes into making Popeye's chicken, making them. And what it really turned out to be was a complete system of slavery built off their backs, and nobody actually cares about sanitation or health or any of that along the way, because you have to actually recognize the animals as individuals to care about their welfare in any situation already. So someone's saying
Some of these trolls are more boring than.
they are boring. Yeah, they're honestly they're hard to respond to sometimes because it's just the same
once
thing.
in a while
over.
they'll say something funny,
Yeah.
but most of you guys, come on, you need to step it up.
Someone says, "Eat beef, save the planet." If you are actually
spelled planet
confirmed, right? If you actually are concerned about the health of the planet, a plant-based diet is actually going to be the best thing you could do, right? We wouldn't be using so much land to farm animals, basically enslaving them, and we wouldn't have to be spending so much land to feed those animals as well. So if you're talking about, health of the earth, the thing that's going to be best is being plant-based and all of that.
Well, I gotta go. Thank you for.
Yes, thank you for stopping by today. It was nice. Hopefully we see you again. I don't know if you'll be coming back or.
If I'm ever in Portland again, yeah, you guys
Totally.
are amazing. So yeah, I just want to say, I'm impressed with the work you guys are doing. I've been doing outreach
Right.
for 8 or 9 years.
Someone says we need more land for veggies. We actually wouldn't even need as much land for veggies if we just stopped enslaving animals. So. Ooh, someone says I was vegan for 7+ years and vegetarian for longer before that, pescatarian for a while before that, and I know eat. What are you talking about?
Michael.
All I'm gonna say from that is you can't have been an ex-vegan. Same way that people don't go, oh, I'm an ex-anti-racist. Like I used to be anti-racism and now I'm not, right? People don't just go back on social justice positions if they really did understand them, right? So say I was feminist for 7 years, but then I realized beating women makes me feel good. Like it's literally terrible, like to say that. You could be plant-based and be on a plant-based diet for 7+ years, and that's fine. But if you never actually changed your mental stance on exploitation of animals, then you weren't vegan, and you probably unknowingly were exploiting animals that whole time, maybe thinking you weren't, but that is how it was. Hi, that vegan for life. Yeah, let's do a poll or numbers, 1s and 2s and 3s. Let's do a 1 in the chat if you're vegan, 2 in the chat if you are not, and 3 if you are also not but curious and maybe want to learn.
Somebody says no true Scotsman. I like the pink microphone. Thank you. I'm seeing some 2s in the chat. I want to ask the people who are putting 2s, what's your justification for exploiting animals in 2026 for their flesh or their secretions or entertainment, clothing, or testing? When we have another option, what justifies this violence and exploitation? Let's hear your thoughts. A lot of people here, over 200. If anybody is curious where we're here in Vancouver, Washington State at the Vancouver Farmers Market. We're here talking to folks in the chat as well as folks in public about animal ethics. We're asking, is it ethical to exploit animals in 2026 when we have another option? Everybody keep double tapping that screen, share the live if you can.
Like a half an hour left. You can copy the share and copy link, or share it if you'd like to get us some more reach.
Somebody says we're going to exploit plants then. So who would you prefer to put in a gas chamber? Some lettuce or a puppy? Or perhaps maybe some peas or a pig?
Let's say
Who
there's
suffers?
actually probably thousands upon hundreds of thousands of pigs in gas chambers right now. If you had the opportunity to replace them all with heads of lettuce, would you?
Yeah, what would be more ethical? Who suffers and gasps for air? Somebody says, do plants feel? No, they don't feel pain. They don't have a brain, and so they don't have consciousness, and they don't have a central nervous system to process that pain either.
And the only reason a lot of people say that plants feel pain is because they've seen one study on Instagram or TikTok that said that plants were reacting to stimuli, blah, and the negative plant.
Yeah. And there's a
The plant with
difference
negative
between-
stimuli
yeah,
was a little worse than the plant with positive stimuli. But what they found in that same study is the fact that it was not repeatable. And what happens when a study isn't repeatable?
It's not science. It's junk science.
Yes, exactly. The conclusion is scrapped. So, yeah, I would like to switch a little bit.
Yes.
Get some Anna up in there.
Yeah, let's get some Anna. Hey, y'all. I've been making my rounds, talking to people. I actually had a couple of side conversations that were really good. So, yeah, really loving it here. It sounds like, though, we have to do some signing of something or other. But we'll see. Oh, yeah. pretty.
Talk to the chat.
Yes, hell yeah. Grass-fed vegan stoner lady chatting it out. So, yeah, we're here in Vancouver, Washington at the Vancouver Farmers Market, just talking to people. And while we're waiting for a conversation, we're talking to you, and we want to know, why you're not vegan. So first, let's get an idea of who's in here. 1, if you're vegan. 2, if you're curious but not vegan. And, 3, if you want to say, I'm not vegan, don't care.
Sorry, they're going so
fine.
fast.
There's also, I know, and I don't know where the slow mode is. I was talking about that, and I'm like, where is even that option? Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. So I see some 3s. That's an interesting choice to be here. Hey, Ben the vegan farmer in the house. Go check out Ben the vegan farmer. He talks about invasive individuals. Like we talk about how animals that come from somewhere else are invasive, and it's like, what's the perspective on that? How do we take action on a problem that needs solving? Ben the vegan farmer has a great perspective on that. So, okay, so we do have a decent spread for, let's see. Okay, but the process of your other option kills animals also. I'm a strawberry, corn, and cotton farmer. Okay, so crop deaths, most of the crops that we feed to individuals go to animals. So if you do care about those animals that are being harmed in those fields, then yeah, you should reduce that by living vegan. We can improve how we grow crops. We don't need animals to die in crop fields. We can grow crops without that, but you cannot separate the exploitation from enslaving other animals. So,
someone asked, do we eat honey? And the answer to that is no, we do not eat honey. The bee industry, or the honey industry, is extremely exploitative to the bees. Yeah, it's essentially taking what isn't ours. We don't need honey, so why take it from the bees? It's their food. It's theirs. Their labor, right? They use it. They make it and they use it. It's for them alone, not for us or anybody else. So.
No, exactly. For all those that put a 2 or even the 3s, can you let us know what is it that's keeping you from living vegan? And we'll try to address it in the chat.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Okay, that's perfect. Awesome. I was just asking to take a picture. Let's see. Go protest in a street. What do you think that is? What's that? That's a street.
Humans.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are there any statements of why you're not vegan? Because meat is yummy and natural.
Humans can thrive on a mixed diets more easily in many environments. But what environment are you in? Do you need to? You can thrive on a plant-based diet, in this environment where you have access to alternatives. So, if that's the case, if you can thrive on a plant-based diet, then why choose to cause an animal to be exploited and unnecessarily killed? Because I know people are gonna go out and say like, "Oh, crop deaths," but that's one not. We have to eat, right? So some deaths may happen in the production of crops. So I guess you can consider that necessary as in we need to eat, right? And we're not intentionally going out of our way to kill these animals, or we're not trying to exploit them. There's a difference. When we don't need to purposely exploit and commodify someone else's body, then why would we? So that's the whole point. And, if we can thrive on a plant-based diet, then why?
Yeah.
Why not just choose that?
I saw someone interrupt you by saying something about B12, and that it's not natural. It doesn't matter, right? Like, supplements are effective. They're safe for you as long as you take them in their recommended doses. So like, what's the problem? Why does it matter if it's not found in nature? It's found in the soil, as you said. But what's wrong with taking a supplement, right?
Right. There's no research that indicates, and there's actually research to indicate that a healthy diet with supplementation, is healthy and can be healthy, and you can thrive on it. So there's no, people like to say supplements are bad, but there's no indication that that's true, or that supplements are unhealthy, or you have a bad diet if you have to take a supplement. That's just not the case. And, typically omnivorous people or meat eaters have to take supplements as well. So it goes both ways. It's not just, I know typically meat, or just omnivorous, or a lot of omnivorous people lack in vitamin A, folate, magnesium. I'm just listing a few off the top of my head. I don't know.
Yeah.
Every person typically lacks pretty much any. I feel like any diet probably lacks.
I think the stat is something like 90% of Americans are lacking in something.
Right.
And it's because we don't know how to actually feed ourselves. We eat off of habit, convenience, and pleasure, basically. And so, once you learn what you need, you learn you don't need it from other animals. You don't need their skin. You don't need to watch them in circuses, right? You don't need cosmetics that were tested on them. So you don't need to eat them either. And because we have alternatives, don't you think, my question mostly to people is when someone is feeling and they're experiencing life, they have the capacity to suffer, what then do they need to be lacking in order to make it okay to use them? Or do they morally matter because they do have that capacity to suffer? And that should be considered.
Someone said, for real, my question has been ignored for an hour. Okay, wait, say your question again, because I haven't. Well, we can answer. I haven't seen that. So.
Your questions are not ignored. There's almost 200 people in this room, and we're trying to address all of them as they come. So just paste it again. We're trying to engage honestly.
Oh, wait. They don't want to answer any hard questions of the ones that seem like they're holding on. What? What's your question? I'm curious now.
I don't want to answer any hard questions or the ones.
Last time I did that, it was crop deaths.
Oh,
probably.
Oh, okay. Yes, so veganism is not about purity. It's not about perfection. It's about, I have a principle. I don't want to demand someone's exploitation because I don't want to be exploited, So that's, in those options that I have in front of me, I'm going to choose to not support someone. Or if I don't have an option, if I can go without, I'll ask, can I go without this? So that's what veganism is. It's not about, if I believe that in non-exploitation, I can't move from this very spot. I have to be a monk and naked in the middle of the woods. That's just ridiculous, right? Abolitionists against human slavery weren't monks. They were just people standing on the corner saying this isn't right. So what's wrong with saying respect other animals?
I just want to address, people are talking, just to get it out of the way, the abortion topic. Listen, you can be pro-life and still be a vegan. If you think whatever, let's say, our political, or I guess opinions are on this, it doesn't matter. Let's say we're pro-choice. If you think we're hypocrites for that, that's fine, but you're appealing to hypocrisy and then using that as a justification to continue to exploit and, pay for animals to be abused and unnecessarily killed. So if, abortion is upsetting to you and you think we shouldn't do it, then you should also extend that to animals as they're living, breathing, sentient beings and don't deserve to be, unnecessarily killed as well. So just if we're hypocrites, if you think we are, that's fine, but then why is that a justification for you to continue to exploit and, or pay for animals to be exploited and killed?
Yeah, so someone being a hypocrite, how does that affect your choices? If you see what's right and wrong, shouldn't you support what you think is right and avoid what you think is wrong? So even though I saw someone say humans are above animals, and even if we are, does that mean that might makes right? Because I have a power, I have then the right to mistreat those that don't have that power, to oppress them for my benefit. Bye, Minx! Do you want to say goodbye? We got Militant Minx coming in here. Y'all need to be following Militant Minx.
Hi, I'm Minx, militant_Minx on Instagram and TikTok, and we should be going live sometime next week on TikTok. So make sure to follow me and us. And yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely going to do it. Oh, Minx, I love having you here. Thank you so much. You have a great day. I have to say, it's really impressive when activists come out here on the days that they work. Let's get a bunch of green hearts for that, because that's amazing. I find, when you're at a job, that's already going to be a thing for your whole day, right? And then to take that little time you have left before your shift. Hey, David, good to see you. If you're not following the 40-year-old vegan, you need to right now. He goes live so frequently, and he shines a light on the places that you're supporting and demanding exist but don't want to look at. And he talks about what goes on in there. He actually has a lot of experience. He used to be I can't think of what your title was called right now, David. It's slipping my mind. But basically, he was in there making sure that they were doing things to their rules that they have, verifying that things were done the right way. And he saw a lot of trauma and a lot of horrible things happening to others. And he, at least, is sharing that with us. Inspector, thank you so much, David. Oh my gosh, my blonde roots are showing. Anyway, yes, please go follow the 40-year-old vegan. He's amazing. So yes, and please spam green hearts. We love the green hearts. That's okay. That's the only thing that we'll allow. Spam and green hearts. All right, so y'all, those aren't vegan. Why aren't y'all vegan? Should lions stop eating meat? Yeah, I would prefer that they stopped harming others, but I don't have control over them. I don't think it's our place to do that because us humans are still, objectifying animals in the worst ways possible. We're literally breeding them into existence just to be our slaves. So I think once we get our species in order, maybe we can start some way of communicating with other beings around us, because honestly, I see them as other nations. So we should start trying to communicate with those around us. Oh, the hearts, I love them. Thank you so much, y'all. Why vegan? Yeah, veganism is this ethical stance against exploitation of other beings. So the idea that humans can thrive without exploiting others, right? We don't need to use others. We have all the alternatives we could need. And we know that it's wrong to exploit each other because we don't want to be exploited. So veganism just naturally comes about because we don't want to be exploited, right? And activism comes out of not seeing change happen fast enough. It's like, well, if people aren't going to watch me and make change, then I'm going to start speaking up and asking them why they don't make change. And that's why we're here in beautiful Vancouver, Washington. Yes. So.
Sorry,
No, you're fine. You're fine. Please read it.
Or you can continue. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, you can read through it. So I saw someone say something about I grow chickens for a living. Yeah, so do you think that if you were to switch out the individuals of chickens with humans, would what you're doing be moral? Most often not, because you realize the atrocity that you're enslaving someone. But for chickens, why is it different?
Someone said, I only recently been curious about how animals are treated. So I looked on YouTube at some cow slaughterhouse and chickens, and I was horrified. So cruel, mean, and greedy. Yeah, so I encourage you to look more into that. And I don't know if you are vegan or not, if you're curious about veganism, but if you want to look more into it and see what the animals go through and, have other resources available, you can check out our website, Anti-Animal Use. I'll hold it up for a few.
There we go.
There we go. Hold it up for just a few seconds. Hopefully you can also just type it in, antianimaluse.org.
Thank you. Here, I can hold.
Check us out. There's resources on there. There's a documentary. There's a 3-minute documentary, and then there's also the full documentary, Dominion, on there.
In fact, on the back side of the card is a QR code to Straight Dominion as well.
Yeah, you can just go straight to that if you want. But yeah, it just shows, what happens to animals and the food industry as well as these other industries. And I think, as hard as it is to watch, it's important to see, and especially if you aren't vegan currently, and just to see, is this something I want to pay for? Is this something I want to, put these other animals through? So I think it's important to ask yourself that and just be educated.
Yeah, absolutely. Regardless of what you think you're going to do from here on out, you should watch that documentary because it just shows you standard practice. And I think that everybody should know exactly what they're demanding when they demand it, right? Y'all, it's green hearts. Yes. So what about their body? What about their choices? I see my body, my choice. I agree. Your body, your choice. But what about their body, their choice, right? Does that not matter? Do they not care about themselves? I look vegan, thank you. I'm going to live to be in my hundreds maybe.
We're talking about that vegan glow.
That vegan glow. Do chickens have the same value as human life? I think that we all value individuals differently. I value my family more than I value your family. I don't even know your family, right? So it's not about who we value. It's about recognizing the sentience of someone that is being used, seeing that they're being a victim and that it's a victim from your choices. So if you can affect that, if you can change that, shouldn't you?
Right. I was also going to say, regardless of which one you find more valuable, the key factor is sentience and having the capacity to experience and suffer. And also even talking about, I know people like to bring up is this human suffering, injustice not as important as animal suffering? And I think it's dumb to compare them because, they're both forms of injustice and suffering. So why can't we just agree that they're both wrong and that we should both stand against that. Like comparing them, I feel like it's pointless. They're both suffering. You know,
Exactly.
we could
don't
go
feel the
back.
need to compare like human injustices, right? Like,
Right.
so why do we compare the animal injustice to the human injustice? We can just recognize they're both injustices that we should stand against.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Did
Yes.
I'll switch you, and then you can. I don't know. Did you want to talk to the chat? Or?
We're all like rotating jobs here. I love it. Yes. Oh, I do want to say. Oh no, it slipped me. It'll come back to me
Am I
though.
blocking the? Sorry.
Nope. You can go all the way to like.
I just wanted to make sure you were under.
Oh, it's okay if I get wet. I have a hood too if I need.
Somebody says, I don't like all animals. So just because you don't like some humans, let's say, would that justify violating their bodies or standing in the way of them being a liberated and free person?
Yep. Exactly.
If not, if it doesn't justify oppressing them, why does it justify oppressing animals?
So I saw someone say, "Not gonna lie, I don't care." Do you think that not caring is a justification to use somebody? Because if we look back at all past atrocities, oppressions, it's because people didn't care that the oppression continued.
Yeah, there's animals being farmed for, like dogs, for their meat as well. And some of the people who are participating in that system of dogs being exploited and killed, they don't care. They don't have much empathy for the dogs. But from the dog's perspective, does that matter? Is it relevant? I'm not so sure.
I see a comment that says, I think agriculture is more harmful. I agree. There's a lot of harm that happens when we farm land, but we could greatly reduce that if we stop using animals. A perk of living ethically and in alignment with your own values is that we don't use as much land to feed slaves, right? Because we're not breeding slaves into existence. So we could reduce our ag land use greatly and feed ourselves fully without using others.
Somebody asked a while back, are you vegetarians or vegans? So we are standing against all forms of animal injustice today. That includes injustice within the flesh industries, as well as the milk and egg industries, and within entertainment, clothing, and animal testing as well. So we oppose all of it. And if you're a vegetarian, I want to just ask, what justifies exploiting and using animals for their eggs and milk and in all of these other arenas? If we acknowledge it's wrong to consume an animal's flesh, what separates that from consuming their eggs or their milk or attending the zoo or the aquarium? Let's talk about it. Why not consistently oppose it all?
I see someone say, you cannot be healthy without animal-derived supplements. Show me what you bought at the store, not theoretical possibilities. I mean,
wow.
I take a supplement for my B12. I will randomly take vitamins if I feel like I've been eating more junk food lately and I haven't been eating mindfully. So that's about it. And I think that's the case for any diet, that if you're not getting something, you're going to feel off.
Yeah, but we are not getting it from animals. We're not getting our vitamins from
Exactly, that
animals.
was the next
I
point,
order
yeah.
my vitamins from a vegan vitamin company, and
They're all vegan.
Yeah.
I use a vegan company, and you can find vegan supplements in your grocery store. You don't even, if you can't find them there though, you can find them online.
Yeah, I just want to say, I just take a multivitamin. It's a vegan multivitamin. I think it's vegan I don't know, vegan vitality. I think. Yeah.
I
just
use
think
I use Compliment.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different ones. You can find whatever one you feel comfortable with supporting, but as long as they're just not using others, that's the whole point. Yeah. So you don't need animal-based supplements.
somebody says, I personally eat meat and vegetables. We're not necessarily here to discuss what is, but we're here to talk about what is ethical and what should be. Do you think it is fair for animals to be exploited and killed on your behalf when you have another option? What do you think? Everybody who's here, keep double tapping that screen, like the live
That's
as
what
well.
I was going to say earlier. I was like, oh yeah, I want to talk to you guys, engage.
And if you're curious, we're here in Vancouver, Washington State today. A lot of times anti-animal use is in Oregon, but we're here in Washington. We're at the Vancouver Farmers Market, and we're asking folks in the chat, as well as people who are open enough and stopping by in person, is it justified to exploit animals for their flesh, their secretions, for entertainment or clothing or testing? In a world where this is completely needless, what justifies this violence and exploitation? And when you think about your own principles, what sounds more in alignment with them? To relate to animals as resources to exploit or as individuals to respect? We're here to start up a conversation, not necessarily here to argue, but let us know your thoughts.
It says, okay, oppression, you have to be alive. If they're dead and used for food, then how can they be oppressed? So we're talking about the process before they have their life taken, right? They're often born into a slavery kind of situation where they're just used purely for someone else's benefit, or they're taken out from their home if they're hunted out in the wild, right? So that's the oppression, is using someone unfairly for our benefit.
Somebody says fish are friends. I agree with you. If we can watch the fish swim by in the river or the ocean rather than pull them out and suffocate them, what's more preferable from the fish's perspective? Let's talk about it. Somebody else said not sustainable. Let's see your scientific study.
Yeah.
According to the biggest meta-analysis on this topic, it's by Joseph Poore. It's titled Reducing Food's Environmental Impact Through Producers and Consumers. We would reduce the environmental impact of our food system greatly by transitioning to a plant food system. Somebody says animals are food. Says who?
Says who?
Who's decided that?
Yeah.
It seems like an external imposition that's arbitrary. If somebody said dogs are food, would that make it so? What do you think?
See a lot of triggered trolls. Just calm down. We're answering questions. We'll answer honest questions, but we don't need to be harassed.
Somebody says, but sharks eat fish. Are you a shark? Are you a shark in our comment section? Or are you a human who shopped at a grocery store, a farmer's market, or can grow your own plants? If you're the latter, if you're a human, you have options that the shark does not. They're in a survival situation where you can opt out.
Exactly. We have farmers markets. We have grocery stores, right? We have choices in places that we can go to. Animals are just surviving harsh environments.
Somebody says dog can be eaten. We're aware. A lot of things can happen, but is it fair?
You can eat us. We're edible.
Somebody could chop my throat and try to eat me. Would that be fair? What would separate me from a fish or me from a pig, for instance, that justifies exploiting and killing the fish or the pig, but not myself? Let's hear it.
I see morality as objective or subjective. It doesn't matter. What we do know is that animals feel and they care what happens to themselves and that we don't need to use them. That's it.
Somebody says, look how thin their hair is. What are you talking about? Like, it has so much hair.
What?
Like, I don't know if you need to clean your glasses.
Yeah, right? Like, I don't know what you're looking at. What do you think this is, a hood?
And ever since I've been young, my hair's grown really fast. I'm always having to go to
yeah, your hair is not thin. It is blonde. Is that what you're talking about?
Y'all need a closer look?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's thick. Thick hair.
Somebody says there is a festival in China every year that has a week-long where they just eat dogs like crazy. Do you think it's fair? Do you think there's a difference between that festival and a festival here in Portland or Vancouver or somewhere in the United States generally where they're doing the same thing to a pig or a cow? Maybe they have a pig on a rotisserie. Is that fair? What would be the distinction between the dog and the pig that makes it okay for the dog, or makes it okay for the pig but not the dog?
I saw something about, do you care about hunting? Actually, even Cooper's last statement right there still fits with that. What if it was a dog? Would you feel the same way? It's okay to hunt dogs? Or another person, you know?
Somebody says it's their culture, so there's no culture that I'm aware of or that I've ever heard of that requires humans to consume animal flesh and secretions. So it's an option for every culture. We can choose to see animals as resources to exploit or individuals to respect. And if we can just respect them as individuals and not exploit or use them for their bodies, why wouldn't we?
Yeah. Yes, David is right on, spot on. Veganism is not a diet. It's an ethical stance against the exploitation of others. We firmly we know that humans can thrive without using others. And we're saying that others share this principle that we shouldn't exploit others. Yeah, the jets. They always sound so loud. There's an airport nearby and it gets so loud. They fly right over us.
Somebody says, do you think it's fair that possibly millions of people are going to be living on the street because of the economy? No. We stand against capitalism and the way that it funnels all of our resources to the rich and the billionaires. We think housing should be a human right.
Yes.
I do want to center the conversation directly and be more precise today. We're talking about animal ethics. We're asking, is it ethical to exploit animals and use them for their flesh, their secretions, or any other reason? What would be the justification? We want to talk about it.
Long, stressful, a lot of people.
Somebody says, commies!
Yeah. I also see you go against yourself. I don't know how.
So I just tried to spark up a critical conversation about animal ethics, and you responded with big-ass ears. I take that as you saying, I concede, I have nothing, I have no arguments. So do better.
I do see someone who made their text bold. I have two questions. What about cockroaches and mosquitoes? Only defend the cute ones? Oh, no. it's all sentient beings. We care about all sentient beings. So I don't think it's right to go out and like hunt mosquitoes or cockroaches, right? I understand you need to defend yourself. And if something is posing a health threat, it's understandable that you would protect yourself. As a vegan, though, I recognize their sentience, and I'm going to look for methods that evict them from my home without taking their life or causing them needless harm, right? But if even a human was in my home and I couldn't get them out, there will be a point where it's like, okay, we're coming to our last resort. But I don't want to do that, right? That's not something I want to do.
And it's
So
fair to
that's-
defend yourself. If
Exactly.
somebody, a human, let's say a human came up and they bit you and they started to suck your blood, you'd have every right to defend yourself. It's the same with a mosquito. Don't preemptively go outside and start killing all the bugs in the world. But if they attack you, if they're trying to suck your blood, you have a right to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Somebody says our ancestors ate animals for millions of years. This might be the case, but is it true? Does it make a difference to the ethics? Does it make it more justified from the animal's perspective if we've been violating their bodies and killing them for a long time? When we have another option today, what justifies continuing to do that? Let's hear it.
Exactly. Bugs don't have rights. They do have inherent rights. They're just not respected.
Let's do another switch, baby.
Oh, here. I'll switch. I didn't even do it. Here,
Okay.
you two talk.
Guess we're cycling through.
Yeah, we're cycling around. Here we go.
How much time we got left? It's
Yeah, we got like 10 minutes.
11:53, so 7, maybe
Somebody
7.
says eggs, question mark.
Yes, yeah.
We'll let them finish up and see where we're at.
Eggs is another industry to boycott. There's a few layers of injustice. The first is at the breeding level. All of the males and intersex birds are seen as disposable, as they'll never produce eggs. So just in the United States alone, every year about 300 million birds are ground up fully conscious while they're living within the egg industry. Another layer of injustice is that the birds, when they start producing fewer eggs, they are killed about 18 months into what could have been a 5 to 10 year life. How is that fair or justified when we don't need to eat eggs? Another layer of injustice is that, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, it's because I'm shaking things.
No, you're good. It's just that the birds have been selectively bred within the egg industry as well. So while their ancestors might have laid about an egg a month, the birds in facilities today, whether it's free range, whether it's any farming system, backyard chickens, they all are laying about an egg every single day. They're using up all these nutrients in their body to push out an egg for humans to enjoy. And we're asking, what justifies this?
These go so fast, it's hard to read.
I know. I still haven't found slow-mo.
300 people here. Keep double tapping that screen and sharing the live. It's great to have
Yes,
everybody here.
please. I think
If
I'm
you're
just
seeing
gonna
an
let
animal
them go.
killing another animal, are you going to stop them, or are you going to let nature take its course? Answer the question.
Yeah, I will.
Well, I mean, no, we're not going out into the wild and we're advocating. We're not going to, yell at carnivores for surviving and doing what they need to do out of necessity. No, that's not. I don't know if you haven't been listening, but that's not what we're talking about at all. What we're talking about is a matter of necessity, or not a matter of necessity, and we don't need to consume animal flesh secretions. We don't need to wear animals. We don't need to buy products or use them for vivisection testing or, in laboratories. We don't need to go to zoos and circuses. We don't need to, essentially, we just don't need to exploit them. And so we're not doing what we do to animals out of necessity in any way, shape, or form. So if we don't need to do it, then why do it?
If somebody... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's tons of things that happen in nature that wild animals do that we've removed ourselves from and that we look at and be like, okay, that's wrong. We shouldn't do that. So why, when it comes to this, one thing,
Let me know when you're ready.
say, for example, eating animals, why would we still do that if we don't need to do it? So...
Somebody says the jacket is not a necessity. You don't think clothing and staying warm is a necessity? Do you see a person on the street, which is completely unjust when we have more than enough housing to go around, but would you tell them, your jacket is not necessary? Like, what do you mean? It's raining. I would be shivering. Let's see. How do you feel about pets? So we don't call them pets per se because we see them as individuals. We don't believe in contributing to the pet trade where they're breeding animals into existence for us to enjoy. But if there's somebody that we can rescue from a shelter or from an unfortunate situation and provide them a meaningful life, we don't see any issue with that. In fact, I have a kitty at home who I rescued from a shelter.
Someone said down feathers and coats. I don't have any feathers in this. I don't have any animal skin. I had a leather belt. I replaced it. Now I don't have a leather belt. I have,
Yep. Nothing enters my home that's made of animals. I don't accept any gifts made of animals.
Someone want to interview?
I'm okay
Rebecca?
since I already interviewed once, but
Want to have a conversation? Absolutely.
All right.
Are you okay to be live on YouTube?
Rebecca, you want to do it?
All right, let me ask you. I think Rebecca. Oh, no? Okay.
No?
I can do it.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
I just have to hand off my stuff. Oh, hon, I'm so sorry.
Let me hold it
Oh
above
my
both
God,
of you.
I was not paying attention. Are you okay?
Let me hold it for
I'm so
both
sorry.
of you.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I'll come over here so that you're.
I'm gonna hold it.
Yeah, actually, I'll have you stand here so that Cooper can be a little. There we go. Perfect. Just keep the. Yes. Hi, I'm Anna. What's your name?
Rocket.
Rocket. Lovely to talk to you, Rocket. I'll ask you too. Are you okay to be live on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So what we're talking about today is just the powerful versus the powerless. Sorry, so you can see it too. All right. So do you think that the powerful, maybe someone who's really muscularly strong or someone who's really smart, do you think that they should have the right to mistreat or oppress the powerless, those that don't have that same advantage?
No.
I agree with you. What do you think about when it comes to the animals that we use for food or clothing or like the circus or the zoo? Would you agree that we're the powerful and we're oppressing the powerless?
I'd eat them, but
Yeah.
not the other things.
Yeah. So the other thing, like the circus, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's wrong with the circus?
They don't want to be there.
Yeah, I agree, right? It's not fair for them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we think about other animals that we use for our clothing or our food, what makes it okay in that scenario?
Because we need it.
We need it. Can you think of anything that we do need from them specifically?
Food.
Just food?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you recognize we can get food from other sources?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So does it matter that other animals feel? Should we respect that?
Yeah.
Can we respect that while using them without their consent?
Yeah.
How do we do that? It's all right. Take
Yeah.
a thinker. Yeah.
We are grateful for it.
Yeah, we can be grateful for it, but do you think that helps us, or do you think that's more like, does that help them, or does that make us just feel better about what we're doing?
Makes me feel better.
Yeah. Do you agree that it's not fair for them when we use them for food? Or
No, not
anything?
really.
Yeah, right? They want to live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any companion animals, like a dog or a cat?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's their name?
Ziggy and Vesper.
Ziggy and Vespa? Vesper.
Yeah. I also have chickens.
Okay. Yeah. Do they have like, would you say they're all the same? Or would you say they have like unique personalities?
They're the same.
They're all the same? None of them like have a unique preference? None of them are more loud or aggressive than the others?
My dog's really jealous.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Shows that emotion in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you, what was your dog's, what name was the dog specifically?
Ziggy.
That's Ziggy? Oh, I love it. Would Ziggy avoid harm?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you find it that Ziggy deserves to be used by other people? Deserves?
Yeah, probably.
She deserves to be used?
When she dies naturally, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm just kind of curious about that. Are you saying that if your dog passes, you're going to eat them?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. Okay. So when we think about using someone, right, we often don't want to use those that we care about. Like if
Yeah.
my companion animal passed away, I don't want to eat them because I cared about them, right? I still see them as that person that they were, right? Yeah. So when we talk about cows, pigs, chickens, all these other animals that we use, they're the same. They want to live just as much.
Okay.
Can I give you a card? You can share it with your dad.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So if you just show them this has our website on there. There's a little documentary that I would urge you both to watch. And just ask yourself if you do want to give your money to those people. And if you do want to take immediate action on this backside, shows you how to get everything you need on a plant-based diet. So you have all the tools ready. I appreciate, what was your name one more time?
Rocket.
Rocket. I appreciate you taking the time to come talk to me. Yeah. I'm going to send you on your way. You have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
I think Oh, there he is. I was like, your dad went that way. Thank you so much for giving us the time. Appreciate it. All right. Well, yeah, I think so. Are you okay to hold that? Okay. All right. Oh, well, Elvin's talking to somebody. I was going to say, maybe we'll give Elvin a second. We'll just talk to the chat for a minute. I'm sure Elvin.
Oh, yeah, this is getting wet.
Oh, God. Yes.
That's why we've been over
I
here.
didn't even think about it either. Yeah, exactly. But, it was good to talk to people. I enjoy having open conversations and people willing to look at resources. That's the biggest thing you can do.
The kid owned you, Anna. We were having a polite conversation with a young person. It wasn't about owning each other.
Yeah.
It wasn't a debate for
Right. It didn't seem like he was really willing to have the conversation anymore. So that's why I was just gonna let him go. 'Cause it didn't seem like he wanted to answer my questions. So.
Yeah, he seemed a little bit maybe like he hadn't thought about it. It made him feel a little bit uncomfortable, which is common for young people and adults as well. And we don't want to push people, too far. We want to respect them.
Yeah. I want to be clear. His dad was right there behind the camera the whole
Fully
time.
consented to everything. The young folk and the dad.
Yeah. You strawmanned him. I don't know what I strawmanned him about. I basically just asked him what his ethics are, and maybe I should have made it more clear that he's not living in alignment with those ethics, because he does think that his dog doesn't deserve to be used unless she dies, I guess. And he cares. He knows that other animals feel, and the only thing he can think of as a reason to keep using them is because they're food. But I think that if they watch that documentary, they'll understand where we're coming from.
We're getting ready to wrap up here. Somebody asked, where are you located? We are here in Washington State at the Vancouver Farmers Market. We're asking folks in the chat, as well as open-minded people in person, about their ethics. We're asking, is it ethical to exploit animals for their flesh or their secretions or any other reason, maybe entertainment or clothing or testing? Is it justified when we have another option? When we live in 2026 and all of this violence and exploitation is needless, how do we justify it?
How does one go vegan? Interesting question. Yeah, so you can just go vegan. Your next opportunity where it's presented that you have either animal-based or not, choose not. That's it. And then just keep doing that. Every opportunity that pops up, always choose to not use others or to go without if you can.
Somebody says, what other options do you propose? So it depends on which industry or which arena we're talking about. Within entertainment, we can choose to watch a nature documentary where the animals are free rather than go to a zoo or an aquarium or a rodeo. Within the realm of clothing, we can choose to pick up or thrift the bamboo or cotton or polyurethane clothing rather than the one that's made of an animal's skin or their fur. Within the food realm, we can choose to pick up the plant option in the grocery store or at the farmer's market, or we can even grow our own plants, but we don't have to participate in using animals for their flesh and secretions. Within animal testing and cosmetics, we can choose the cruelty-free shampoo rather than the one that may have been squirted in an animal's eyes. We're talking about those type of swaps. If they're accessible to us and we don't need to contribute to animals being exploited and killed for us, why would we?
Precisely.
Any doctor will tell you need meat. Which ones? There's plenty of plant-based dietitians and nutritionists. According to the academic consensus among dietitians, actually, the human body can thrive on plants only. So if you have some evidence or studies that indicate the opposite, paste the title in the chat.
I saw someone ask about the documentary. We always tell people to go watch Dominion, but there's a lot of different documentaries that are great out there. Dominion's just great because it covers all, or I would say majority, maybe not all, but a big chunk of the animals that we use and all the different ways that we use them. So.
Okay. That guy is very tangent.
Got it. No, someone did ask about the documentary, so definitely go check out Dominion. It's free on YouTube. Anybody can go watch it, and you should. If you're whatever lifestyle you're choosing, you need to go watch it and ask yourself, should this really be an industry that exists anymore, and what can I do about that? I don't look weak. I don't look faint. Scam documentary. Well, prove to me why it's a scam instead of just spouting out lies. Thanks and agreed on your first answer. Second question, can I eat already dead animals because they don't have sentience. Well, so the issue is that it's fine technically in a vacuum if you needed to eat someone that's like been hit by a car. I'm not going to stop you. I'm going to think that's disgusting and probably not safe. But the issue is that you're still seeing animals as a resource, as a thing. If you saw a human that was just flopped over on the side of the road, would you think, oh, food, right? Or would you think, oh my gosh, someone just lost their life? That's what I think when I see animals on the side of the road. I don't think, oh, lunch. So that's the difference in our mindset is like, I don't see them as a thing for me to use. I see them as a someone. And even if they've passed away and they're no longer sentient, I see them as the previous someone that they were. Smells like car keys. What do car keys smell like? Someone said I smell like car keys. I'm like, that's a weird one. I've never heard that before.
Rain?
Oh, like rain? I guess I do smell like rain right now. I've been standing in it. No, I'm vegan. Veganism is an ethical stance against the exploitation of sentient beings. So I don't want to demand someone's slavery because I don't want to be enslaved for someone else's benefit. Oh, wow. I didn't know that, David. Like agriculture, like he did other things besides the slaughterhouse? Oh, yeah. Yeah, David would know then if Dominion is a lie or not, because David literally was in the slaughterhouse inspecting it. That was his job. And he was in Canada, which is supposed to have, like, I'm pretty sure better laws than, like, here in America, for example.
Supposedly better laws. The UK, for example, is supposed to be
The best.
the highest in animal welfare, and
They're still terrible.
they've been exposed for many things. I mean, just look at Joey Carbstrong's most recent investigation into a kosher slaughterhouse, and kosher is supposedly to respect the animal and be more humane, but what they found, cows literally getting their heads sawed off while fully conscious, screaming.
And it's like supposed to be this high welfare slaughterhouse. Like, why? I mean, a high welfare slaughterhouse is an oxymoron anyway, but still, like, when we see someone as a something, decapitation is no big deal anymore. That's wild. Actually, Joey's exposés have really opened my mind and my eyes because, again, like Nick was saying, the grass-fed human, what he was saying is that Joey has exposed in the UK, right? The UK that has the highest welfare laws out there, and they still can't.
Say so.
Okay.
That much time on you, and you're just gonna call me ignorant. Like, I just really hope you trip and die.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, we're probably going to wrap it up there and head on out of here. I forgot my point that I was making. Do you remember what I was saying?
Joey Carbstrong, he's done tons of
Please go check out.
investigations.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
in the
they
UK.
have high welfare and he's exposing the highest welfare farms, right? And they still do this very thing that is on Dominion. It just tells you that here in America, where we have ag-gag laws, or any country that has ag-gag laws, what are they hiding, right? It's got to be way worse. So, anyway.
But yeah, anyway, it just, any law, there's no humane way to ever take somebody's life, an animal's life, especially when we don't need to. So, I mean, we can hide behind all these labels and all these, these sayings, or I don't know, whatever people want to say, humane slaughter, humane farm, local farms, all this crap. It's like, it's never humane.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Whatever you
matter.
wanna
It's
call
like,
it.
if we have another option,
Yeah.
it's not like it's not like there's either factory farming or doing it in a humane way. No, there's a third option, and just not doing it at all. So why not just choose to not exploit, unnecessarily harm, and take an animal's life? So I mean, yeah, it's all just BS. It's all marketing, and just put yourself in the animal's shoes, like, or just even as like a human. Like, would you say we could humanely farm humans or cats and dogs, for example? Is there a humane way to do that? So, sorry, a little tangent. But.
No, exactly.
We're ready to wrap up now.
Are we ready to wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get it going. Thank y'all for being here. We're going to stand up so you can see us.
All right.
We're very supportive in this group because we fight hard for the animals. We know they're vulnerable, and we've experienced being vulnerable. You come closer to me. Yeah, I'm the far edge. You guys come this way. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we're good.
Or Nick.
So,
There
we go.
That's perfect.
no, you're great. We're all great. That's what my hair looks like too. I'll do it with you. All right. So anti-animal use. We're going to end it here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the mods for helping us keep that chat down. It's wild in there. We really appreciate you. You're hardworking. And thank you to the vegans for being here, spamming those green hearts. Honestly, just seeing your comments really does encourage us to keep going. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for that energy. I'm Vegan Stoner Lady. You can find me anywhere. I go live today, actually. I was going to go live at 1, but we're cutting it kind of close right now. I'm just going to go on TikTok and go live because the weather's so unpredictable and keeps raining, and I don't think people are going to be willing to talk. So with that, I'm going to pass the mic on, and I want you to go follow all these lovely vegans, okay?
I'm Enigma. It's been a little bit eventful here at the Vancouver market today, but we had some good conversations as well. If you're interested in learning more about the intersection of animal liberation with human liberation movements, please do visit totalliberationnow.org. You can also follow us on Instagram or TikTok. You can find us places, and we're trying to make that connection.
I'm Elvin. I go by Elvegan on Instagram. I'm also with Total Liberation Now, so you can find me there and find anything I do there, probably. There we go.
I am grassfed_human on Instagram and TikTok. And just go vegan. Don't exploit animals. Put yourself in the animal shoes. Ask yourself if you'd accept that treatment to you. If you'd accept that treatment to, I don't know, if you have any companion animals at home. And if you wouldn't, then why do it to these other animals? So.
Hey, I'm Rebecca, the Uncaged Front. I'm on Instagram, and I'm also have a blog at theuncagedfront.org. And just want people to get active if you're vegan. It's great that you're vegan. We love that you're vegan. And if you have any questions, ask other vegans about it. Kind of take your defenses down. And if you're vegan, please do something to become active, because we need all of us to get all of our energy and power together to fight all the suppression for the victims, the true victims, the animals.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I wanted to add, visit antianimaluse.org. There's so many great resources there as well. And that about does it.
Yeah. Go type it in, check it out, check out our website. Yeah. Try to find a bug if you want.
Yeah. We'd love it if you tried to find a bug. But yeah, there's lots of resources. Click on the resource button. So many things, documentaries, vegan challenges, lots of stuff. So,
and if you find this content engaging, maybe you're a non-vegan and you're still contemplating or thinking about these things, subscribe to Anti-Animal Use on YouTube, because we are here here weekly.
And hit that bell so you get the notification for when we're going live next, and you can ask a question. We might see it and answer. So
the all bell, right? When you hit the bell, hit on all notifications. For some reason, it's like, I don't know why they have even options, but anyway. All right, guys. Thank y'all, and have a great vegan day. If you're not vegan, be vegan. Oh, go for it.
Oh, wait.
Bye, everybody.
Ow.